YouTube. It's Brian Phillips. We have to unbox this thing, but we have some inside baseball to talk about for a minute. You may have noticed the bump on my chest. That's because we switched mics. So you're gonna have to let us know. We don't know if these DJI mics are gonna work as good or if they're gonna work worse, because we've been using Rode wireless mics for a long time. Rode Wireless 2 is where we've been for a long time. We started out with the lab mic that was some no-name Chinese brand, but the problem is with the Wireless Go 2s, we had to have two subjects so you could hear the snarky remarks from the cam crew. Give them one.
Mm-hmm. Yes, my snarky commentary, yes. Always.
And so one of the problems we've had with these is that the batteries will puff, and then eventually, you know, we don't know anything about puffing batteries here on Brian Phillips RC.
No, never.
But these Rode Wireless Go 2s have been really lifesavers. I have a breast pocket. It's kind of like a pocket protector that we use to hold this inside. So I'm genuinely asking for your feedback. We don't normally ask for feedback on technical issues, but we need to know if the audio is just about the same. Should be about the same. We did our own testing, but we want to make sure that we're giving you guys the best product possible. And obviously, you know, what I do best is talk.
Yes.
So if you can't hear it,
then you should schedule an appointment with your
audiologist. Yes, exactly. But we're going to unbox this thing right now. And so if there is issues, or if there are issues rather, then we want you to let us know so that we can work through them together, because we don't always hear the entire video. We will hear some of it. But in the meantime, we're gonna just unbox this brand new item from Hobby King. Yes, this is the way they shipped it to us. It's probably the way it's gonna get shipped to you if you end up with a battery. Yeah, it seems pretty haphazard, but whatever. It wasn't our plan. Oh, yeah, there's a prop in here too, so don't cut it the way I did.
Okay.
I don't think it damaged anything, but cut it here. This might be an early sample thing, guys. It might be because we have to order this. I don't know. There's a battery, read manual before use. Okay, so this is a small battery. And Hobby King sells batteries. You may have noticed if you go on the website, following the links in our video description below, you support Brian Phillips RC. When you buy stuff, they know you bought it. After having watched our videos, we make a little bit of money on that, which helps us to support this extravaganza called Brian Phillips RC. That is a new battery. What size is that? Pretty cool.
It is a 4S 750 milliamp hour.
That is a very weird size.
That is a very weird size.
But I would like to stuff that in some
an 80C. Spots. I hope you can see that. It's hard to see.
80C.
It's an 80C.
Whatever. Give it to me.
I mean, that's what it says.
80C.
Just reading. Oops.
Oh, is that a high volt? Yeah, that's a high voltage. That's a lithium high voltage battery. So it's 11.4 watt hours. So it's Turnigy 15.2 volts. Yeah, so we got to figure out how to charge this thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the safety warning. This actually warning is just talking about the fact that it's shipped not fully charged. And gosh, I hate these stupid labels. Seriously? These things annoy me.
I assume that was the manual and we were done reading it now.
What now?
Is that the manual? Now we're done reading it?
No, I'm just ripping it off because I want to charge it.
Yeah.
Because we got to charge this thing. So guys, we use the Spectrum S20. Oh, it's DJI. We've got this little charging station. Wow, fancy. Maybe we'll link to this. And then all of our fellow YouTubers that want to do what we do, they can buy their stuff.
Well, it'll be nice for when we travel because we can charge the mics in the thingy.
Okay, XT30 to XT60, and then the XT60 to EC3. And you're probably thinking, Brian, that seems a little ludicrous. Why don't you just grab the XT30 to EC3, which I could also do, but just wanted to show you that obviously there's an EC3, or excuse me, an IC3, which is compatible with the EC3. So we're gonna plug this in. That's gonna give us 15.2 volts. So it's shipped at 15.2 volts and looks like 3.8. So we're gonna click this, press and hold it. We're gonna go up to lithium polymer high volt, and then we'll set it to 4S. And we're not gonna charge it at 6 amps. That's probably a wee bit fast. So 750 milliamp hours, we'll go to 8. So that's just over 1C. We're gonna go down to start and we're gonna charge it. So guys, listen, battery safety is like the nanny state here. Don't burn your house down. Be good to your batteries. If they get all puffy and weird, then get a new one and send them off and follow whatever rules are in place and all that stuff. Okay, all right, good. I don't want to hear about people's houses burning down. That's very disappointing. Be careful with batteries. Now you know. Don't get your hands cut in things like props. Those are basically the two main safety concerns in this hobby. Okay, so this came in that bag too. I'm not sure what it is, but I believe it's a prop and prop adapter. So I'm not sure if this is like, hey, we want you to have a spare because you're an influencer. We want them to see. This says Gem Fan. Okay. So there you go. Okay. This might have been just something else they wanted us to have because they like us and like, hey, Brian, you're a cool guy. Have this prop. We don't know. We just, like, so a lot of times we get this crap and people assume we have like years of expectations and build up and no.
It's a surprise. It's every day.
Hey, we're sending something.
This is a high efficiency propeller.
Ooh, why don't you show them that?
Maybe there's different options. High efficiency propeller.
Hey, what is this thing?
It is not a toy.
This is an EPP Tundra 1050 millimeter PNP with battery. Okay. So with battery, as in strap on.
Did we get an extra battery then?
This has a label on it. Had enough of that. Guys, power. It's powerful. Feel powerful now.
Got it.
Wasn't before, but now I am. Had enough of that strap. Give me problems.
I think it opens from...
I think you forgot a label. So, okay, so I think it was just a shipping label from China to China, some such thing. Okay, so I think this opens like, this bottom drops out. Yeah. It is interesting, when we do these Hobby King products, they always got the goofiest packaging. It's like everyone is different. And, all the other major competitive brands pretty much ship stuff the same way. So I'll give them credit where credit's due. If you're gonna do something different and weird, what the heck? That isn't, no, look, 3 sides. It's like it folds open like this. The heck is going on here?
Or the top comes all the way.
Yeah, the top comes undone, doesn't it? It folds down like that.
Hobby King has several different lines though too, that we get stuff from.
Yeah, which I don't know.
I don't quite understand
that. And then the Super Tucano thing happened and I'm like, what did they just like sell it? We don't understand. All I know is we want you guys to have a good flight experience and we're gonna help you do that. So hopefully you can hear us good through this new awesome mic here. Show them inside my pocket.
Don't yell at them.
Look at that. It's hiding in there. So back in the day when we first started this channel, we were like, I'm not using no lab mic. And then we did. Because mostly it made a big improvement in the quality of the channel because you could hear all of the very important things I had to say. Okay. It was hilarious because the cat meowed very obnoxiously right as the box hit. It was like I had dropped it on the cat, but I know I did. There was no cats.
In a different room.
No cats were harmed in the filming of this video from Brian Phillips RC about a brand new release from, is this Durafly?
Durafly. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then this comes undone. Megan and I are nervous about this one because we got an instruction manual ahead of time, which that's, sometimes we get an instruction manual. It's usually about 3 days after we build an airplane. This one has us a little bit concerned in terms of the amount of work required. We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is awkward. I'm trying to pull the bottom down.
Yep,
there it goes. Oh yeah, it's coming. Yeah, this is coming off. It's profile Tundra. So it's like the Tundra, only a profile. Okay. So there's a box.
Okay.
Seems well packed so far. This will be the one we keep. We do keep some packaging on some planes. There is a battery in there. So they must have sent a second one. Okay, before we continue, we're gonna pop this out and show you what comes with it. Now, I'm assuming this one's not high volt, but maybe they're including a high volt pack. Yeah, this one's not high volt. I bet it's just regular.
Just like a Turnigy.
It's a 0.85 watt hour. Oh no, it's 0.85, so 850 milliamp hours. Turnigy, matched. Voltage, 4S 14.8. So this would be like a standard size. Turnigy heavy duty or Turnigy Nanotech. These are Nanotech. We used Nanotechs back in the day. We've got a few Nanotechs still to this very day. When we first started in the hobby, you know, most of our 10-year-old batteries are pretty much all totally spent. They're toast or they're on their way to being toast. So funny thing is, like all these little battery connectors you see me use all the time, like this guys, I built all this from crap from Hobby King, okay? Because I used to get all these plugs. I don't know if they sell this stuff anymore, but I got tons of it when I was first starting in the hobby.
Yeah.
Like you went down into our basement, I had like way more than they had at the hobby store.
A lifetime supply.
I was like, well, I mean, I might need 14 of those.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not a high volt pack. So this is the one that comes with it. So you can see that awesome, look at that job right there.
That's amazing.
Ooh, you can see the exposed wires. I'm gonna just slide that back just a little bit. Very good. Okay, so 3.8 volts per cell. Okay, 5 might be just a little bit much. So this would be like 0.85, also known as 0.9, and then we'll start it. So 850 milliamp hour 4S, 850 milliamp 4S. This is, what'd you say,
750.
50 milliamp hours 4S. This is weird sizes.
That is weird.
Okay, so at the end of the day, you know, Hobby King sells batteries. Follow the link in the video description below. We'll link to both batteries that we used. We always do that, by the way. Doesn't matter what brand the plane is. We will pick a battery that works for us. And sometimes we don't have the right size battery, so we got to kind of improvise. We have a lot of batteries. I mean, a lot of batteries.
If I link to something different, I try and note that too.
Yeah, like if it was similar, or maybe we
yeah.
picked the Spectrum offering because, you know, or there was like a China hobby line or whatever it is.
Or people were.
We don't really care what you get as long as you get what works and it's right for you, which is, you know, it's probably not what Hobby King wants to hear. So, okay, so packaging, that's always good. We want to help our partners succeed, and when we say partners, we mean companies like Hobby King that we work with, or Horizon, or Spectrum, or whoever it is we're working with, because we just want people that are making stuff that's good to succeed. Quick start guide. Okay. Well, that's weird. Is it the same on both sides?
Yeah, it always is that way.
That's weird.
I don't know why, but it is.
Okay. All right, so we'll just put this down. Don't get too excited about that.
I'm not.
All right, so we're gonna pull the wing out. That is so weird.
That is weird.
Looks pretty built to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can see those glued in. This is like a really kind of like, almost like packaging foam. It's very strange. Looks, the control surface is bigger than the actual wing.
What?
And then we have a Y cable. So obviously at some point we may be separating those off to make a flap-around configuration. Feels like pretty light. I mean, it's not like sub 250 or anything that I can imagine. Okay, so then we got horizontal stabilizer. This is gonna be kind of a weird part because it has a full functioning stabilizer. Okay, and the hinge work and everything is plastic and it's clear, but it almost looks like glass.
Yeah, it's
Like legit glass.
like really shiny.
That is weird.
Okay.
Never seen anything like it.
Interesting.
Does it have a leading edge slots? There's something here.
Well, there's a little. I was assuming there was some sort of.
No, look.
Yeah.
That looks like leading edge slats maybe. But I mean, it could be wheel fairings or something. Okay, so then, there's stuff down here too. Ooh, look, a prop.
Okay.
And a couple of things. Look, things.
Things.
There you go. Okay, so that was down here, guys. Don't lose that. It's down here.
Okay.
So then the landing gear kind of wrapped around the plane. So I'm gonna pick this up together just to make sure I don't damage anything. Oh yeah, I just wrapped around it. Okay, no big deal. All right, so this is, I don't even know what to think. It's just like, it's like all the things that Hobby King ordinarily does really badly, which is precision and like super light. But it's like they're doing it, they're trying to do this. And this is not like an especially light product. It's made of foam. I mean, it's going to be powerful because like you got a big motor on there. It's 2212, 1250 kV, so it's going to be really fast. And then there's the electronic speed control. Of course, that's light. 30 amp Aero Star Light. I don't see a reverse thrust on there. It just looks like forward thrust. Okay. Unless it's electronically controlled. Okay, we have an elevator and a rudder. That should be pretty simple. Of course, the Tundra has a high wing, so there's a cutout here to receive the wing. Kind of rough. Feel it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks...
And this paint jigging is weird. It looks like it's like they printed it with like one of those spray printers. So I don't know how that's going to work. But anyway, so there's a lot lower piece count than I was scared that we were going to see on this. Okay, so that's empty.
Okay.
So guys, whenever you see a profile plane, I just need to remind you, there are cheap profile planes out there and they take a lot of work to put together. And I'm not saying that you might not want to do that, but I am going to say right now, I don't want to do that. If you want to, I don't mean to take anything away from your hobby experience, but my current stage of life, what we've got going on in our world right now, I don't want to spend 7 or 8 or 10 hours building a plane. And I know some of you are cringing when I say that because like, oh, I spent 30 hours building this last plane. Okay, congratulations. I've spent 100 hours putting together planes too. But I don't want to do that right now in this stage of life. Okay, so these are weird and solid and very light, very light.
Yeah, but
they're kind of like squishy.
Weird.
It's just strange. You never see anything quite like it. So we'll see how that works. They look the part, which is pretty cool. Now, can you pack this back into the box? It's not looking like you're going to be able to get back in the box. And then it looks like you're going to stick your battery in here.
Oh, okay.
But then it's like the ESC and stuff will just slip under one side or the other. I don't know if you want to, slide that under, slide the servo cable under. We will look at the instructions, obviously, at some point, maybe. But it's like, you have to secure it somehow.
To put a receiver somewhere.
Yeah, you got to get a receiver in there somewhere. So now, yeah, I assume that's where the battery's going to go.
That would make sense.
That's a pretty low piece count. I was really nervous about this.
I mean...
So maybe this won't be so bad after all, but we do have to put it together. So there's an instruction manual that we will... Let's just see what the quick start says first though. Okay, so remember, this was sent in addition. This came with it. Looks like, kind of hard to tell if that's the same prop. And by the way, that cut because of the way I cut. Oh crap, I might have damaged this, guys. Look, I cut that prop. Yeah. That prop might be broken. Dang it, guys. I feel like such a jerk because I don't want it to break now in the video and then cast a negative light because I stupidly cut that with my knife. But there again, if you guys order it and it comes like that to your place, then you'll know not to do that stupid thing. Okay, so we have to figure out how to put this together. Here's the regular specs. Center of gravity is 70 to 80 millimeters measured from the leading edge of the wing. Adjust the battery and your electronics positions as necessary to achieve the correct balance. Okay, looks pretty simple. And then I'm assuming we got to glue this together because, I mean, there are no bolts. So I don't know how else you would do it. And I mean, I'm pretty much 100% certain we're going to set up flaps, aren't we?
Probably. I mean, there's lots of spars and stuff. Why is there strings and...
I know, that's what I'm talking about too. Okay. Because we're going to have to figure out what the heck all this crap is. So maybe we need to pause. We'll get the manual and then we'll come right back. All right, so after reading the instructions, we have concluded that this should have all been built at the factory and then disassembled, at least half of it. So whatever. But truth tellers, or whatever you want to call us, idiots, trying to sell planes that tell the full truth, nothing but the truth, all that's God. This plane is mostly assembled, but then they talk about the most critical step being this step.
You get to do it.
Do it at the factory. Okay, listen, they want us to go 16 millimeters through. So this is not assembled, okay? I thought this was assembled, it's not, okay? These are covered with a clear plastic protective. You're gonna need CA, which to me seems crazy on this. Like I disagree with the whole concept of this assembly. First of all, I want the factory to assemble critical components. Okay, mounting an ESC or whatever, no big deal, right? That's my 2 cents. I'm sticking to it. Okay, so we need 16 millimeters extra. It's not going to be super critical, I'm guessing. But if you look, I got 16 millimeters shown, and that's how much extra. So I'll switch to inches for you guys in the United States of America. It's 0.6 inches. So there you go, okay? And then they want us to take and hone this thing out so that it clears and doesn't create like resistance. And I'm like, no, quality control stops resistance, period. Okay, so we're gonna glue that. And what's gonna happen is eventually there's gonna be a linkage that comes from the elevator back to, excuse me, this side, from the elevator back to control the pivot axis of the elevator. I don't really see this as being like a particularly hard thing, but they make it sound like it's really hard on the instructions. And so I'm not really sure. They're talking about using some thin CA and they're talking about using thick CA, and this is the CA I'm gonna use. It's not foam safe. So I have to be careful with mine. If you guys are using foam safe, then you'll be better off. But again, I would use China glue, okay, to put stuff together, but I'm gonna use CA because we're going plastic to carbon fiber spark. Okay, so listen, CA. You guys hear that? I hope you can. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna glue this. I already know the position I'm in. They want us to dry fit everything. Well, congratulations, if you can dry fit all this, good job. But really all we're doing is we're basically making a thing that sticks on here and attaches to the control so that the whole elevator can pivot. It's not really rocket science, but they do make it seem confusing in the manual.
A little rocket science.
Okay, so it's not rocket science though, because at the end of the day, you need 16 millimeters through here. This should have been done at the factory, okay? I'm gonna do it here though. So let's do it here where we don't have Chinese hands. One drip, okay? One drip, one drip. And by the way, that's not supposed to be demeaning to Chinese hands. Chinese hands are good at making this stuff, which is, you know, one of the reasons why Chinese people do a lot of this is construction. Okay, so that's glued, right? Now you're probably thinking to yourself, but Brian, how is that gonna get into the crack and actually hold it? Because I'm gonna take and I'm gonna spin this very carefully. Okay, like that, and that's all I'm gonna do. And remember, this isn't foam safe, so it's probably gonna eat that foam. Okay, so that's there. So now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my Instaset kicker, boop, boop. I'm gonna set that up. I'm gonna see if it can spin anymore. It can't spin anymore, so it must be set up, eh? Okay. So again, that should have been done at the factory. Now, this side could have been undone. You see what happened here? I think ours was damaged at the factory when they pushed it through. Not a big deal, but it's just kind of annoying, okay? So keep in mind, we point out all the experience we have on this plane build, okay? So now that this is set up, okay, you can tell this is gonna move when you move the elevator, okay? Great. Well, why can't that be glued at the factory? Because you gotta slide it through the wing, and that's why it's not built at the factory. But what should have been done at the factory is this stuff should have all been mounted in a perfect manner. I believe you want it at 90 degrees, but I honestly am not sure, because here's the thing. If I have to hone out foam, that's no, quality control, please. Thank you. Okay, so this needs to go through there. Does it spin free? Spins free enough for my taste. Now watch, I'm gonna stick it through the foam, and then through the other side. Now they're wanting you to like, you know, take out a hone and like hone this and all that. I'm like, whatever, you don't need to hone nothing. Okay, now which side do we adjust? We are gonna attach to this side, okay? You have to hone out enough room to equip this thingamabobber on there, okay? Does that make sense? And then they want you to have a gap for clearance. And you wanna make sure you don't get glue in there, okay?
Okay.
So it's not really, again, not rocket science, but it's still like, again, this should come out of the box that way. And then this adaptation point, you cannot have that assembled. That's why they're doing it this way, right? Okay, so now we're gonna get back to this. So the next big maneuver we have to do, because you can dry fit the other side, now that you've got this 16 millimeters on, they want you to start with the right side. and obvious which way it goes because this side is down and this side is up because we've got the colors on the top. Okay, makes sense?
I think you're still supposed to put a spacer.
Oh, a spacer? Okay, so we'll put a spacer in. So in order to do the spacer, I want to just talk about this for a quick sec. These have a plastic protection because the way they're cut. So if you just peel that with your fingernail, if you don't have fingernails to do that, use an X-Acto knife. Okay, so then that comes off and then this comes off. Okay. Okay, so that's off and that's off, right? Then this is gonna go in and act as a bushing, okay? Bush, bush. Okay, this is the right side going on the right side of the plane. It's gonna pass in through the hole, and then eventually I'm gonna have to pass the next thing on there, okay? Because we've already dry fit it and we have the bushing in there, okay? So now we need to take and put this in, and I'm assuming there'll be a bushing on either side to help support it so it keeps it true and plumb.
Probably.
Okay, whatever. I'm sick of the instructions. They're useless. Look. So we're just gonna peel that, and then we're gonna peel this. Guys, if you've ever built a hobby plane, some of these things are easy and some of them are hard. This one is not, it's not easy or hard. It's just kind of annoying to me because I don't like having to do steps like this. We mentioned it, but it's like, whatever. If it works good, then it works good. Yeah, see like peeling, like the protective, okay? So the protective comes off, you've got this nice glass looking thing. So we'll lay that on the wing so I can find it so it doesn't disappear on our countertop. And then I'm gonna take and peel this off because they give you 4 of them. I'm assuming that we need to use 2 on the outside to make a gap between the wings, or are we supposed to use 2 bushings on the outside? I can't tell, does it say?
I don't know.
Okay, does the instruction manual say? Okay, while I peel this. So that's peeled. Okay, so I'm pretty sure what's gonna happen is we're gonna end up with an assembly that looks like that, okay? And then this is gonna be glued, and there'd be a second one on the other side, and then this one's gonna go on the other.
I don't see a spacer.
Okay,
on
fine.
Either side.
Then I'm gonna just do this. I'm just gonna do this like a smart person would.
Okay.
Because the instructions don't make it obvious, okay? Now, full disclosure, we talk about adhesives once in a while on this channel. This is medium thick, non-foam safe. If you got a black cap and it was gold colored like that, that would be a foam safe. It would be a better idea to use foam safe on here, but my medium thick foam safe, which has a black cap, is currently thick and pretty much ruined. And so I'm not gonna use that because it doesn't work. I have thin that they're suggesting you use thin and then follow it up. And I'm like, yeah, if you need that much CA, you've done something wrong, okay? So guys, remember, come back. Give them a super ultra close-up of that. Look at that glue. Does that glue look like it's holding? It looks like it's holding to me. Does that glue look like it's holding? It looks like it's holding to me because all we had to do was spin it around. It wasn't rocket science, okay? I'm actually gonna do this in a weird way. I'm gonna hold it like a guitar. Okay? So now I need to stick all this crap in here. So I'm gonna take the easy way out and I'm gonna slide this through. Okay, and you're like, but you don't need a bushing there. The instructions don't say that. I don't care what the instructions say, they're stupid. Okay, then I'm gonna put that in there and then I'm gonna put this in there, okay? Very nice, right? Look at that, guys. Now I've got that thing and I can build up some CA here in a few minutes to get that positioned exactly as such, right? So I wanna make that 90 degrees of the throw of the wing, okay? So now I'm gonna slide this through and see how much we've got the bushing over here, okay? Bushing. Then we got the right side of the wing that's been glued together. And I'm gonna slide this through. It's not gonna be that big a deal, except that it's kind of awkward to get it to fit. Okay, so there it goes, there it goes. Remember, the resistance is because these 2 planes are getting worked together and at different angles at different times. Okay, so if that's tight, it'll never be tight enough to touch with the bushing intact. Now, I wanna keep this away from that edge, so I'm gonna actually over pull it, squish the foam a little bit, and then walk it back, okay? Now, dry fit this piece to validate your gapping, okay? So I'm gonna put my last material on here. This is a bushing, okay? So I know it's hard to see, but you'll just have to take my word for it. I'm just peeling it with my fingernails and then taking that off. Okay, so we've got the, see this, look, right there. Clear piece, okay. So now guys, so you got 1, 2, 3 pieces. Then we're gonna slip this onto the end of our guitar, slide it back, And then let's see how we fit, okay? Now that's not glued and this is not glued and we know that and that's fine and it's totally fine, okay? You know why it doesn't matter? Because it doesn't matter, okay? Because look, now when this gets through, we should have 16 millimeters exposed, except we have slightly more so we can give just a hair of a gap, okay? Now, you need these to be the same position. If you wanted these to work as televons and you wanted to add another servo, then you could hypothetically do that with lots of mechanical changes. But remember, these are going to be integrated to the exact same dimensional position. You want these at the same position, which means when you're flying along, this is not glued yet. This is not glued. This is not glued. This is not glued. You don't want to glue the bushing in the middle. You cannot. If you glue it, you're screwed. This one is glued, okay? So it is contingent on you to get this perfectly square. So you have to find all the different angles that you can validate that you're square. The easiest way I have found is pinch and pinch to the plastic. And yet look at the gap from back here. You see that? Mm-hmm. That is not easy to match up, okay? Because there is some sort of a shape going on there, right? Or is that in my head?
No, it looks way wider on the left.
It looks wonky. You see what I'm talking about? Look from the top. Like, get square over it, all the way square.
Yep. Well, your movie.
You guys see what I'm talking about? It's not super easy to get this squared. So you're gonna have to use your best judgment to make this wing square. And it's probably not gonna be perfect. So just be ready for the imperfection. Imperfection is the name of the game, okay? So let's pull this out just a hair. Now, I'm gonna take my same 16 millimeter mark here, right? Mm-hmm. On the calipers, and I'm just gonna measure this. If you don't have calipers, look how awesome that is. It's pretty much almost perfect, okay? Pretty much almost precision, guys. Things like pretty much almost are what we're expecting on this type of build. But now look, we've got a pretty good gap and you're gonna need it because I don't want that bushing to get glued, but I want that to get glued. So what we're gonna do now, I can't spin it like I did the last one. So I gotta be super mindful of my position and you get one shot at this. If you do it wrong, you're gonna have problems forever, okay? So you gotta be real careful how you do this. So get those square. Square as square gets. Okay, and then give her a drip. Don't use a drip of kicker. I promise you, if you kicker this, you're gonna regret it right now, okay? You know why? Because on this side, since it's the left side, you're gonna have to be more careful that you can get your exact final movements. You're gonna work it, carefully work it all the way around, real quick, all the way around, and then you're gonna set it really close, but not in the hole. And then you're gonna get these angles just as close as you humanly can. And then you're gonna take your kicker and you're gonna make a decision and it's gonna be over for you if you screwed it up, okay? Because at this point, if you screwed it up, it's too late. And this is where you take whatever time it is to get it as perfect as possible. And unfortunately, that means I can't show you until it's done, okay? Look on the end. Looks pretty close. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's gonna be as good. This is an imperfect material, guys. Let's get right down to it. Okay, so now we had an opportunity to slather that glue stuff all over the place. And it looks like our bushing might have, yeah, it's free still, good. So now that we've given that a few seconds to work, okay, now you can also change the angle and actually validate that you got it right. If you got it right, you got it right. If you got it wrong at this point, start looking for a solution, okay? But for those of you that didn't get it wrong, come back in here. I'm gonna put CA over the top of this and then over the top of this, okay? And then before I continue to anything else, I'm gonna kicker that. Boom, just like that, one little drip, okay? Very good, that's done. Then I'm gonna come back here on this side of the seam, not the other side, only this side. And I'm gonna go along the seam, just like that, done. As soon as I get this kickered, I'm done. I'm gonna kicker out here, look at it, walk into it with gravity, okay? Blow it in a little bit and just let it get in there. Let it do its work, okay? Okay, looks good, looks clean, and we have free bearing movement. Bushing movement, I should say. Looks good. Now, we don't have any CA on this yet. This is our next victim. We have to get that done, okay? So ordinarily, you would want that to be exactly perpendicular. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a minute. We're gonna pause. I'm gonna wipe my tip. Well, we're not gonna pause. We'll just wipe the tip.
Okay.
This is a mandatory step when working with CA. You gotta keep your tip clean, guys. Okay, watch, look. There's stuff coming out. Wipe that tip. Keep that tip clean. Get in there. Whatever it takes to get that tip clean. Make sure it sounds like a booger sucker if you've ever had babies. It's like a booger sucker, okay? Get that booger sucker cleaned out. Get it ready for the next move, okay? And I can already tell there's a little bit in there. It's gonna give us problems, always does. All right, so that's ready. All these little protective coverings, they can be thrown out. You're no longer gonna need them. And look, they give you a second one of those. I don't know why. Do you know why, camera crew?
I don't know, I haven't read that far in the instructions.
Okay, they also give you two ends like this, and I think those are spares, right? Or do they work with the wings?
I don't know. These two ends?
Yeah, because the wings are on. Look, the wings are done.
Oh, yeah.
These are both on, so these are spares, guys.
Okay.
So they give you two spares. Keep those in a safe place, and same thing with this. Keep those in a safe place, okay?
Okay.
So for me, the safe place is over here on the windowsill, and we'll put those into our box of millions of spare parts that we'll never know where they are to use them.
Great.
Yep. And then these are gonna go on to the controls as, oh, they're spares too, aren't they? Because look, they got 1, 2,
Yeah,
and then
those
3 and
have them
4.
too.
So they give us spares of those, which are fuel hose, and they have been clipped to hold the clevis shut, okay? Then we've got these, which are gonna more than likely be added to wings.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, they're gonna be, oh, unless those go onto the wing spars. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna end up doing, but that's fine. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
Excuse me, guys. Okay, so my next move is, now that we've given that CA just a little bit more time to sort of be 100% resilient, we need to now get this servo centered on this servo lead, because I'm just grabbing the servo that goes to the elevator. Now, normally I wouldn't center a servo, but I gotta center the servo on this so that we can guarantee the best possible outcomes. I'm just grabbing whatever rando battery I can get. I'm gonna stick it into the appropriate port on the XBC 200 battery checker, okay? And we are going to plug this one servo in, this servo, into the servo tester. It looks like the negative is toward my belly. We'll plug that in. Then we're gonna click. We're gonna go down to servo test. I don't know what size it is or what speed, so I'm just gonna go to the middle. Okay, double click, and it'll go to a sweep. You can see it's moving back and forth, pretty simple stuff. Click, goes to the center, beautiful. All right, so now it's there. Now we know where center is. So there's two trains of thought on this. You can have that thing perpendicular, or you can have that go to the servo. If you go to the servo, it's gonna move more one way than the other. I want symmetry. Symmetry is not always attainable if this is too short. If this rod is too short, then you can also lengthen it here, right there. Okay, good. Be nice if I didn't have to move that. So this needs to move. Hold that, please. So I need pliers to hold that as I undo or unscrew the clevis, and that's gonna pull it out. So this needs to be able to move out. 1/2, 2. Oh, you can see it protruding. Look, see it protruding through? We got tons of play, so we'll be good. 3, 4. I'm just gonna go until it's like, if I were to line up perfectly above this, I want this to be in the center mass of that black pipe, okay, tube. Okay, that's carbon fiber rod. Okay, one more half turn. We got tons of threads. We're golden, okay? So that's halfway, dead center halfway. I don't care about that yet. It's not glued yet, okay? So now that that's where it is, camera crew's gonna do her best. You're gonna have to let me know if you need me to do anything weird. I'm just gonna slide this in. They told us that we needed to like hog out foam. I think that's total malarkey. I don't think you need to hog out foam at all. I think you just need to get this square, and you need to get this as perfect as you can get it. And that's gonna be plenty good enough. Okay, hold that, don't move, okay? Now I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna hit it with CA, don't move. See how I'm getting a big drip? You're either moving a lot or I'm moving a lot, but one of us is moving a lot. I think it's you and me. We're both old.
I'm trying to film.
Yeah. Heard that before. I don't get 2 shots at this step, so you're gonna have to be really steady. Okay, see the drip? I just carried the drip down. Now listen, once that drip is set, then I can rotate this thing. Okay, so be careful. Pull this away from where your glue is and let it walk in. You see how it chased into all those joints? Now we can just you can let go. Now we can let that set up, and I'll even get in here and pull out some of the excess kicker, okay? So once that kicker is out, and that's had a chance to totally set up, then we're golden, okay? So we have this movement, and once we have this movement, you see how it rotated on me. Did you see that? That was no bueno. No bueno. Okay, so I wanna go like 90 degrees. Okay, I don't know if they can see, but yeah, hold that please. I got 0 chances at this now at this point. I've pretty much used up all my get out of jail free cards. So I'm gonna rotate that. Okay, beautiful. Gosh, awkward. It's not a hard thing, it's just awkward to film, guys. Some of these things, a million of the things we do on this channel, it's like if you were just doing them on your own, off camera, they'd be real easy, okay? But I'm telling you, if you film yourself trying to use CA, the tip is 100% bound to clog, 100% of the time. Well, maybe that's always. See, look, it's coming out already. It's just really excited. Okay, a little bit of glue. A little bit of glue, okay? Now I'm gonna wipe the tip. And there's only so much we can do. Do not move. Do not move. Now would be a terrible time to move. Okay, all right, I've got it now. You can let go. Please let go. Okay, I'm gonna put a little bit of drip of this underneath my CA joint, just from the edge to let it set. And then a little bit up here. Beautiful. I wanna try to avoid getting that CA onto the foam, okay? So it's just kind of a tight spot, it's awkward, and the lighting is not amazing on this, okay? The other thing is I could actually move the servo out of the center position. I don't know which direction I need to go. That's the wrong way. I wanna go the right way so I can get that servo out of the way. Because we already centered it, and then I put that clevis back to the center. Good Lord, this is moving at like 1 microsecond at a time.
Is there a reason we wouldn't just attach it now if it's centered?
Because I'm still gluing.
Oh, okay.
You see what's happening? Go up higher so they can see past my hand. Thank you. See how the servo's moving, guys? I'm just walking it out of the way. You know what? I could have just done that. That would have been the way to do it. So now it's out of the way and I can see what's going on really good. And here, hold that so it stays vertical for just a sec. I want to make sure the glue doesn't go up underneath the edge. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to prevent glue from getting under there. And you know, honestly, the easiest way to do it, hun, would have been to just take a piece of paper and just put a little paper under there. Because that would have stopped the CA from getting onto the foam. You know what I mean? So, because I've got a little bit, okay, move your arm. Try to get the light in there so I can see. Now I'm just checking. I'm feeling to see if there's any CA that's not set up. Okay, so if that comes off clean, then we're not set up. Okay, so you see you've got a little bit that's stuck to that foam back there, but we were fine, okay? Didn't hurt anything. So now I'm just gonna turn it. Now that I'm turned, I'm gonna put a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue here. And then I'm gonna go across the surface just a little bit. Hardly any, maybe like 2 total drips. That was probably a little more than I meant to. And then kicker, okay? So once that kicker works, I'm gonna come in here and spin this. Just because the kicker will usually set that so fast, but I wanna make sure that whatever residual comes off into this Q-tip, okay? And then I'm gonna go the other way with it. We'll do the same exact process. So that gives us more penetration of glue around this joint, okay? So we're making this like big glob. It'd been ideal world, you'd get glue all up under there, okay? But you know, this is sort of the way you gotta build it. You could use thin CA, but it's gonna go all over the place, and then how do you keep it from going into the joint directly to the, you know, I can't point with a bottle. That's what I wanna do.
Next to you, down.
Toward my belly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say, guys.
To the right of where they're looking.
But you see how I made that glue joint wider that time? Watch this. I'll come over here and put the kicker on the tube. It'll work its way into this system. See? But once you put kicker on, sometimes it'll pick up the kicker. The glue will. And then other times what happens is it'll make it run. You got to be a little bit careful, okay? So I'm just working this. I don't care if it goes this way. It's not going to hurt anything. But I do care if it gets over here into that bushing there in the center. See how it's spinning free?
Yep.
That's because we managed not to get glue in it, okay? So very good. Cool. Look at that. Amazing. Like I said, you don't need to hog that out. That's a huge waste of effort. There is no reason you'd have to hog that out. If you did it the way I did it, and I didn't even use the right type of CA, folks. Okay, so now, while the CA kicks, meaning I let it set up just a wee bit more, okay? I'm gonna do what I preach about all the time. I'm gonna clean my tip. Kids, keep your tip clean. It's an important rule. You see how dirty that tip is? It's never gonna go back to being normal, never. Unless you pick it off of there. And if you're like me, you're gonna wanna pick it off. Why do you pick off the tip, Brian? Because that tip is where you get your seal on the lid, okay? And sometimes that whole tip comes off and it is so frustrating, like it's wanting to break off, the whole tip is, okay? So sometimes I do that with an X-Acto knife and other times I cut it. But if you don't clean your tip, then what happens is this will not close and it will not seal properly. And then you ruin a whole bottle of glue. So I'm not doing it because it's like I'm anal retentive, although I am.
Well, yeah.
I'm doing it because I want my glue to be good the next time I go to use it. Okay, so now that we have, okay, should be able to let go now. So as you can see, we are going to click back to the center position. And not that we have to go back to the center, we've already established where the center needs to be. So I can pull this back, might as well land this like the camera crew was talking about. We'll pull the little wiener out of the hole there. See the wiener hole?
Do we have a...
We'll just slide it through,
okay,
and then snap it in. And then we'll just grab this and slide it back. Okay, very good. So then I can go double click on the XBC and you can see the throw. Beautiful, right?
Okay.
Pretty cool. You have any issues with that?
No.
Looks fine. It's a lot of throw.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to click back to the center, and now I'm going to disconnect that servo just because there's no reason to worry about it. Now, the rudder is also something you could test now if you wanted to, but there's really no reason to do it. We have our elevator done, okay? Amazing.
Okay.
Okay, so XBC 200 battery checker, however you want to look at that, is awesome. We've had good luck with it. I will be frank with you. I don't think that there's a huge difference, but I'm not even sure if you can get the 100 anymore.
You could, as of recently.
But eventually, I'm assuming they'll eliminate it because the 200,
so.
The 200 has the XT. It's got the, not the XT, it's got the IC5, so you can put the bigger connector in.
Yeah.
And it's also got the IC2.
Two.
So there's definitely advantages. I still don't know what this rope is for.
Well, I mean, we're on page 7 of, we've only done 2 pages of directions.
Okay, so everybody watching this video is probably thinking, geez, you're pretty harsh on them about that having to get done by you. Yep. Because we always are when we think that you should be doing it at the factory. That being said, okay, let's talk about this for a sec. You saw how small that box was.
Yeah.
Okay. This vertical stabilizer and rudder, okay, that's the only other option. You have that off. Well, how do you do that on this type of plane? I don't think you can. So it's got to be the elevator. So the elevator is the easiest one to take out of the equation.
Right.
I just don't see an easy way. The only way I could see that might be easier is if they left this piece off right here, and then you could pass the whole assembly on, glue this to here, okay? So this would glue into there, and then this would get slid through, and you would then have to glue just 2 points, and that.
Something like that.
Well, yeah, but that would be, then you take the problem points out of the equation.
Right. Well, it should be filed and cut and all the whatever.
You didn't need to file it anyway.
No.
That's why it's stupid. If you say you need to file it, then we should need to file it. That we didn't need to file it.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, yeah, the wing is not mounted. So like that's our next big question.
Well, I know. Let's read through the millions of steps and then
we're
can
going to read a few
summarize it.
steps off camera and we'll come right back. We'll let you know what we find out. Okay, so now they're getting ready to tell us to do all these measurements and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sitting here as Megan, the camera crew, is reading. I'm doing this. And I'm like, this is driving me nuts. Then finally I get it to balance. And I'm like, why don't we just put the stupid landing gear on?
You're driving me nuts.
So we're gonna put the, yeah, because I'm asking all the stupid questions you guys are gonna ask too.
Yeah.
I'm sticking it in the hole. Done. Easy. By the way, you can take those out super easy too.
Well, yeah.
So there you go. So now guess what? It doesn't have problems tipping all over itself, which is gonna drive you crazy. I can already tell.
Okay, now
and
can I
guess
go
what I'm
back to
gonna do?
reading?
Guess what I'm gonna do?
What?
I'm gonna not mark this because I'm lazy. Okay?
Okay, we were supposed to mark it, so if you want to mark your own.
I tripped. Guess we'll have to do flap rounds.
Man, I needed another Y cable. I'm so glad we have one of those now.
So there it is. Guess what I'm not gonna do?
Just gonna sit here and watch you do this.
I am not gonna do CA.
What?
China.
There's
China
like
is the
12
solution.
steps before you glue.
What steps do they want us to do?
I don't know, alignment steps. You're supposed
Measure?
to add carbon fiber supports to strengthen
What?
to add support and strength to the wing. Assembly carbon rods are supplied to act as wing struts. These are glued in place with CA and may require a small amount of trimming to get the desired length. There are 2 wing struts for each side of
Where?
the model. The shorter one for the rear side and the longer one for
You're
the
talking
front.
about here? Like right here? Like on this?
I don't know. I haven't read the directions yet.
Yeah, all you gotta do is
No,
stuff
it
them in
goes-
there, right? All you gotta do is stuff them in there. So look, like it's supposed, there's a pass through. That's the only thing I'm not sure about is all the wires are currently going to one side or the other. So I'm assuming like we're gonna have to pass the wires where we need the wires, right? Did they talk about the wires at all?
I don't no, I'm only on page 10.
So a typical inpatient RCer here speaking.
Yeah.
I just want to stick it together and be done with it. Oh, there's a pass through. Look, there's a pass through.
I thought that was for the battery.
Well, I may have lied.
It
I
doesn't
lied.
say, by the way.
Okay, so this is what I don't understand. There's so many instructions about how to put this wing on, and it's like, step 1, glue the wing on. Here, just a thought.
Sit here
just
and
a
watch
thought.
you. Yep.
This is an EPP foam profile plane. I don't think it has to return from Mars.
It might. What if Elon calls and he needs a Tundra PX?
You know what I really think should be done is I think that this thing should be Velcroed on. I'm dead serious, by the way. Yes.
Why?
Because that would be, first of all, that would be awesome.
No.
Because it would be so easy. And then they include a string as an applicator.
I think we're gonna need.
So you measure, the string tells you how to measure.
Not.
That is literally what it's for.
No, it's not.
I am not lying.
You are lying. I saw a string somewhere.
Look, they say to use CA, so I'm going to immediately ignore that and use China glue. Okay. Why does China
Do
glue
you know
work
how
better?
many people are yelling at the screen right now to read the directions?
Just read the instructions for once you have them, Brian.
Yeah, and you're still not gonna read them.
Nah.
Okay.
Look, China.
Oh, jeez.
China glue. Look, a lot of it. Okay.
Oh my
Why?
goodness.
What?
Because you have to overdo everything you've ever done in your entire life.
No.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna put the cap down now. See, this is why I'm not putting the cap down in case you guys hadn't figured out.
Help you.
Handicapped. Jeez. Okay, so look, China glue is better for this application.
Do we have 14 tubes of it somewhere?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, well, we do actually. We have foam to foam and we have this. If you guys need China glue and you can't find it, Hobby King used to sell it. And then
I don't
like,
think
we had
they have
problems.
anything that's a China glue-ish thing right now.
So now they just have CA or whatever. Well, congratulations. We're gonna use China glue.
You're supposed to be doing this all upside down, by the way, so.
Whatever.
I know. I'm just telling you.
Just watch. See this?
I'm watching.
There's two ways to do this. You can use your finger, but I am actually going to be a good boy, and I'm just going to use this. I'm going to spread this so it covers the entire surface. So 100% of the surface. This is going to be
It's going to like soak in.
No, it's not. Are you kidding? It doesn't soak in. I'm just spreading it. I'm just making sure it's like somewhat even so that we get penetration all the way into the thick cavities. This would be a terrible CA surface. That's why I don't understand why you would. I'm not saying you couldn't use CA, but I'm saying you would need to use a crap ton of it. I mean, if you're trying to sell CA, that's how you do it.
Well, there you go.
You use CA on this plane. Okay, now, look. Since I know there's a pass-through for the cable, I am tempted, genuinely, to just cut this over to that side. Should I just do that?
You're going to do whatever you want anyway. I don't know why you're asking.
Well, because then I can blame you if it doesn't.
Yeah, right. I know how this works.
So we're gonna do this the easy way. I'm gonna just chase this over to the other side because, like, I know that's where my wires are at. Or, well, look,
But
I don't actually know where the receiver is gonna go, but I would assume the receiver is gonna ultimately end up somewhere in the middle.
I would assume so.
Right? Well, whatever. We'll straddle it. We can always cut a hole up at the top if we decide to do it. So listen, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put some China glue on here. Because they told us to measure and mark. And I was like, yeah, you don't need to do that crap.
15 millimeters on either side of your line, if you're following the directions.
So if you're following the directions, congratulations. You've lost your man card for this one. Right?
Some people read directions because they don't want to screw it up and have to go back and fix it later. Or yell at their wife because she read the directions to them.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to slather this China glue all over everything.
I can tell.
Now listen, this is a lot more China glue than I would typically do, but this has a very imperfect surface to it. And so for that reason, I want to make sure that we have what?
Don't go past your 30 millimeters-ish.
Look, 15 millimeters. Hun, do you know how far 15 millimeters? Do you want to measure that?
Okay, this was way wider there.
What are you talking about? No, this is like perfect. Almost perfect. I'm actually narrow.
Almost perfect.
It's almost perfect. No, I didn't overdo it at all. I put the right amount on. I could probably do more. Now, unlike typical Brian Phillips RC, we're gonna let that cook off for a minute. And why do we let it cook off? Because then this will tack up like an envelope. You know, like one of those envelopes you get and then like 15 years later you need to mail something. So you peel it off and you stick it down and it goes.
And yeah.
Just kidding.
That's how our envelopes work.
That's because we got them like when we were married.
Yeah.
Okay, put that in the garbage can in case I need it back.
So you need it later? Okay.
Oh, dang it. Jeez. I got stuck. This is why I like China glue, okay? Because you can do that.
Did it on purpose.
No, I didn't. I didn't do it on purpose. I did it, but I wanted to demonstrate. That's why we do it. We teach people on Brian Phillips RC. We're not just trying to sell airplanes, but we're trying to sell airplanes. Okay, look. See the seam? Mm-hmm. Watch the seam. It's going in the middle of that foam, okay? Oh my goodness, I can't even see my markings that I didn't make because I'm looking at this seam and I'm lining it up with the middle. Watch this. Middle. Whoa. Middle, whoa. Look, middle, 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 middle. You see the middles?
No.
Show them the middle. Right there's the middle. There's the middle. I mean, it is not hard. Now you're probably thinking, yeah, but you gotta wait for that China glue to set up. No, I don't, because watch this, guys. Look, I'm gonna give this a count to 10. Okay, I'm pressing it. Count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Suck at counting.
Okay? So, I didn't have to use CA. It's the wrong type of CA because it's not foam safe.
And they do recommend thick.
But they don't recommend foam safe.
No.
So I'm just gonna tell you this right now. I don't know if it matters what type of CA you use, but I will tell you this. I would 100% of the time recommend using China glue for this joint. Okay, now flip it over. All right, and I'm gonna be a little bit careful with it, just give it a chance. Now, you guys can see if there were a gap, you could press down on this and you could really stick that on there. And if you're really concerned about your bite, pull it apart, let it sit. Put it back together. You're gonna get one chance at it on that second go around, I promise, okay? Do you feel comfortable with the way we've left things?
I was trying to make sure there wasn't a gap right up here at the front.
No, I don't think there is.
I don't think there is.
I mean, it's like,
I mean, the foam is imperfect.
It's imperfect, and that's part of the problem. So you kind of have to roll it into itself.
Right.
Now, at this point, if these gear get in your way, guess what? That took 3 seconds.
Right.
Okay. All right, so now everybody listen. This is critical. I'm going to tell you how to do this by not reading the instructions.
Okay. This?
You got too long and too short. Symmetry usually prevails on airplanes. Too long, too short. So one long, one short. We're going to see which one does what. Okay, there's a point right here, you see? And that's going to go back to that point, okay? So I'm going to stuff this in. So see, this one's longer, this one's shorter. Okay, so we have now established how this is supposed to work. The longer one must go up front and the shorter one must go up back. But it looks like both of them need to be shorter, okay? So now over here, same thing, guys. Look, I'm just gonna stick this through. It's a kind of a clear little member that they give you. You can tell where it's supposed to go just by looking at the wing. Oh, unless it's supposed to go like this. Is it supposed to go like that?
I was just going to say, how do you know it doesn't go to the front?
Well, I don't, and that's the only thing I'm not sure. Oh, look, that might be too.
Yes, it does.
So it goes like that?
No. The front goes to the front and the back goes to the back.
Okay, so it couldn't go like this.
Keep your holes lined up.
So you're for sure would not go like this, right?
I'm for sure.
Okay, so you're saying like back to back, front to
back,
front?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't cross your holes.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of think we should. You know, maybe I got it backwards.
It does say that you're supposed to trim them if necessary.
Well, what if we didn't necessarily have to trim them?
Insert the shorter rear strut into the fuselage strut bracket first.
Okay.
And then the wing strut bracket. Use CA glue to secure once satisfied with alignment. See photo.
So is that where you use the applicator string?
Repeat. I still don't know where I use the string yet. I know I saw it, but I'm flipping through too many pages. Trying to get somebody to read the directions.
Okay. So they're in there, right?
Okay.
They're in there.
Yes.
Okay, I just don't want it to rock anymore, okay? Then you're saying like this one is supposed to go to the front?
Yeah.
Good Lord, look how much it's like.
You're supposed to trim it.
Yeah, but that's dumb. I don't want to do that thing.
I know you don't want to.
I'm like not happy about that. I don't want to cut that crap.
How are you supposed to trim it? What are you supposed to trim it with?
So look, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So do I stick this in here first and then get my measurement, or do I stab it into the foam, hon?
You're supposed to put it in the fuse one first.
Let me see the picture. I want to make sure I agree with you. So this is how you do this when you're doing technical things with your wife. Let me see the instructions. Yeah.
Yes, you were right.
I just don't necessarily think that they need to. That's. I had them crossed and it was working really good. What'd you talk me out of that for? Because look how perfect that would have been. That looks even cooler. But is it going to look right? Is the question.
Right to who?
To the guy building it. I mean, we want it to be at least. We want to show.
It's your own special little plane, Bob Ross.
There's no happy bushes. There are no happy bushes in this. Okay, so just to be clear, this is a lot of excess, which makes me question that it's right. Even though the drawing definitely shows that.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that looks as good as it could. I think it would be better if we could do this, hon. I genuinely think this would be better. Is if we went from here to here, but then I think we might be just a wee bit short. See, if we did that, and then we cross back here, I think that would be better.
But then when you actually flip it over and you have some sort of like wing loading on it, is it going to be okay?
It's a brace. I mean, don't you think that brace would work still?
I don't know. Flip it over.
It seems correct to me. It's like somebody that made that manual was like, trying to change things up at the last second.
The design of the TPX fuselage is typical of the EPP profile models in that it uses a 90-degree cross-section construction method. Yes.
Okay.
Additional support is provided for the front of the fuse in the form of 2 painted thin strips of EPP foam to be glued in place.
Where?
I don't know. Well, they're laying here on the counter by their wife's sewing scissors that they stole.
Where do they go?
I don't know.
On the top? Well, I don't know. Hey, hon.
Yeah.
My only issue is if we do it the right way, which is my way, is that they interfere with each other.
Right.
Like, I mean, they genuinely do. They run into each other.
Yeah.
But like,
that doesn't seem right.
it seems perfect.
Flip it upside down so we can see what it...
Well, I would have to do both sides because these are braces after all. Okay, so this would go here. If we do it my way, which is the right way, and this goes, oh, don't you be popping out, make me look dumb. So this is on the underside because it's the more longer one, okay? So drop it in there and then bring that up. So you're telling me that, like, what's wrong with making an X?
I don't know.
I think it's better.
I'm not an aerospace engineer.
It might look really kind of, I just don't want it to look dumb.
That's what I'm saying. You can't flip it up.
You know, I don't want it to look dumb like we don't know how to follow simple instructions.
That ship has sailed.
Oh, yeah, I guess it has. But look, all the rest of them are crossing. Do you really think that would be problematic? I
have no idea.
Then you don't have to cut anything. Seems like somebody was like, how the heck do we put this together? That's what it seems like to me.
We're trying to show people how it's supposed to be done.
Well, except that we don't ever know. We never know. We just got to figure it out. So I honestly, I'm tempted to just say, put it there and be done with it.
Whatever.
Because I think it's going to be more. It's going to be more strong. Because then I can CA these. This I'll CA. Okay. Because this is already glued in. So if I CA it here and CA it here and CA it here and CA it here, there's no cutting involved. Okay. Plus this gets out of the way of the wing profile, so you can hold it that way. I'm just afraid it's going to look dumb. I don't think it looked especially good the way it was before.
I don't think, who knows?
Compared to the way it looks now, do you?
I mean, it doesn't really.
Do you have a picture of it on the front at all?
No, there's only this
What
picture.
does Stewart's look like?
Well, I don't know. I can't really see.
Let me see Stewart's example.
He probably followed the directions.
Ah, his go forward. His are on the front. Stewart obviously followed the instructions.
Of course he did.
He probably wrote the instructions. He's probably burning up inside like that Brian. That idiot can't follow the simplest instructions.
Strongly worded letter.
Yeah. He'd be like, Brian, this is Stewart. Don't ever do that again, please. I had to fix 4 trillion planes that got shipped from China to all these poor children. Okay. So that's on the top.
Okay.
Or, well, what would be on the bottom. I just want to see if we can get it to line out better. See, that pops out. So let's see if we can get it on the bottom then. So the short one is now on the bottom. And it doesn't pop out. I'm just afraid, are they going to pop out then when the wing load? Like when you get some wing loading, is it going to pop them out?
Well, that's what I'm asking. But you're going to glue them.
Yeah, you're right. Because isn't the objective to kind of hold everything true? I got to think on this for a minute. We'll come back. Okay, this is what it looks like bucking the rules. We have made a decision. We've decided we're doing it this way. And then you guys can learn the lessons of our huge embarrassing failure. And, you know, it's not the first or last time it's happened on Brian Phillips RC. Believe me. If you guys are brand new to Brian Phillips RC, check out the links in the video description below. That's how you can support us in our endeavor to improve your RC hobby experience. Yes, of course, that means watching us waffle and screw it up so that you don't have to. We appreciate your patronage. If you guys want to subscribe, click the bell for notifications. You may notice that I'm cleaning my tip. Remember the lecture earlier? Mm-hmm. I do. I just don't understand why in all these years of CA that we have not come up with a better tip design.
Maybe you should work on that.
Totally
Beyond you.
Yeah. Well, I like Bob Smith Industries glue, but I have struggled with this for literal years, decades of struggling to keep my tip clean. And you cannot say I don't try to keep my tip clean, folks.
You do. Oh, wait.
What?
No, I mean, keep going with your...
No, go ahead.
Do these pieces, they go sideways here.
What?
Do they go here? Is there already a piece there?
Where?
On the top.
No, that's a... Wait.
Is there already an angled piece there?
No, there's not.
Okay, I think that's where they go.
What?
I figured it out.
What? No, that would cover up all the wings. Look. Oh, they go on the bottom.
They go on the bottom.
Why is that not here already?
They ran out of assembly budget.
What?
I don't know. But I think that's where they go.
Okay,
Just
you're right.
looking at
I
the
think you're
directions.
right because they don't
Okay.
go here because that would like cover up your windows.
Right. No, I think they go on the bottom.
Okay, so
Here.
it's not a leading edge slat, guys. And so we have, as usual, barely figured it out for the camera. This is Brian Phillips RC. We hope we've brought you some value. And yes, I am still trying to clean my tip. What?
Slide a foam sheet along the front of one side of the fuselage and align to the paint pattern on it to that on the fuselage. Trim the length of this foam sheet as required. See photo. See, now it all makes sense. I totally understand. See, sometimes the directions are sort of kind of helpful. But then over there.
So we're going to glue this, guys. So this is CA. I'm going to glue this here. Now, the short one goes to the back in our application. That's the way we're doing it. This is called making a decision, knowing that you're probably doing it wrong. The overlap does not try to pop itself out now. That's what I can tell you for sure.
Yes.
Okay.
So our long one is on, well, top when it's upside down or on the bottom when it's right side up.
Okay.
Because you switched it from how you had it before when we were talking about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. We did.
They used the word whilst in the directions.
Whilst.
Maybe you wrote these directions.
No, that's a Stewart word.
Whatever, you say whilst all the time.
No. Not for the same reason that he does. Because he would be like proper about it and stuff.
Yeah, you're not proper about anything.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, here on Brian Phillips RC, we are here to serve the RC community by screwing up our planes so you don't have to. Just remember that. Because at the end of the day, I really like this hobby a lot, but there are some times when it's like, really, what the heck? But I mean, I could be totally wrong. These might pop off in like 30 seconds in our video, and it might be a huge embarrassing failure, but frankly, I don't think that's gonna happen. I think we're gonna be getting it right. We're gonna be getting it righter than they realize just how right you can get it. Do you disagree, camera crew? You seem to think that we should have trimmed my rod. Listen, if you had a rod and somebody told you to trim it, you would be like, no.
I'm just more of a rule follower than you are.
You know, whatever. Okay, I'm just gonna put this kicker on here and I'm just gonna see how it looks, and then people are gonna be like, hey, you built it wrong when we do our Unbox.
I know, we're going to listen to it
setup.
for the next 10 years.
Yep, that's right. It's like, hey, you're supposed to do it in the other way, Brian. He hasn't been in one of our videos for a while, that guy.
Whatever, that guy's in our videos all the time.
He's not in our videos he is in our videos all the time, but he hasn't been in our videos for a little bit, is what I was saying. To be honest, I was very, very nervous about this build because when I got the instruction manual and they started talking about how difficult it was going to be to put the elevator on, how critical it was to get it perfect, and then I heard the process of actually doing it.
Okay, whilst you're...
That is not very thick. Okay.
Didn't say thick, it said...
Look. So we're supposed to put this here.
You're supposed to match it up.
Okay, look, there's a black line.
Match up
so
with
just look, watch. That isn't right, because that would shoot past.
Well, you're supposed to trim it.
Oh my goodness, are you kidding me?
No.
Why is this needing to be trimmed? No, I'm not trimming it.
Trim the length of the foam sheet as required.
No.
Now
I am not trimming
the
it.
trimmed foam support and apply contact glue to the edges.
Oh, contact glue, not
while
CA.
the fit of the fuselage, then reposition back on the fuse and use pins to hold in place while the glue
I'm not
dries.
doing any of those
I know,
steps.
but
0% of those steps.
If the people are following along with my directions,
if you're following along the correct directions, which are mine, obviously, then you won't be doing that either. Okay.
if you've been married as long as we have, you won't follow your wife's directions either.
Be like, honey, I've done this before. What, you screwed it up? Yes.
So you're gonna do it so it doesn't match?
Of course it's gonna match. I already did this. I already matched it. Okay, so look, I'm using China glue, which to be honest, they might have meant China glue.
Well, they said contact glue. Isn't that the same thing?
Contact glue.
You call
Aren't
it contact?
all glues contact? It's contact adhesive.
What's the difference between glue and adhesive?
Well, one would be Chinese. Well, I don't know. China glue is China glue, and contact adhesive is what I would typically describe China glue as.
Right.
To the layman.
There's this a little yellow tube of, it's like a little aluminized tube too, like yours.
Okay, so look. Good thing I kept this in the garbage can. So look, I'm just gonna, hey, you're gonna have to come over here so people can see this. It's clear. Okay, look, clear, right? So I'm just spreading it so that I make sure I get contact adhesive all over it. You gotta slather the sticky stuff all over it. Jeez. Oh man, that's so sticky already. Okay, so I'm gonna put that down, and this black piece goes to the back, okay? So it's gonna go in here. And no, I don't need to trim it for a good reason, because it doesn't need to be a trimmed. Okay, look, watch this. I already know where it's gonna line up. That's where it's gonna line up. And it's gonna cover up part of the name. See?
Okie
I don't understand.
How much support is that providing?
0%.
Seems like you could.
I don't know. I don't get it. It seems like, why was that not done before this showed up to our house? Do you have any thoughts on that, Camera Crew?
I'll call China and check.
China, put it on. So I'm gluing this now. Oh, this bottle is getting dangerously low.
Maybe because you used 14 gallons of it to glue the wing on.
Listen, I don't want my wing to come off. This thing comes off, that's optional. Goodness gracious. This is the type.
I know,
this is when it's gonna go
crack.
like all at once. It's gonna be like, you know, like, the analogy I wanna say is probably over the line for our channel.
No.
Oh, there it is, there it is. Okay, the eruption is about to happen, okay? Oh gosh. If you guys are brand new to Brian Phillips RC, we do build airplanes here. And sometimes we get a little bit descriptive of certain items, and that would include glue. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, I just want to get this all the way down. I know where it's going to line up. It is easier once you've dry fit it, because then you know about where it's going to start and about where it's going to stop. Now, this does not need to be perfect, but it would be better if it's perfect, okay? So spread it here, because then it keeps a little bit off of the finished surface, okay? And by the way, a fresh tube of China glue would make this a little bit easier, because I'm having to squeeze right at that point where you got to squeeze it really hard. It's going to come out like 1,000,000 gallons of it at once, okay? And one thing about China glue that can be a little annoying is you would think that it would spread nicely. It doesn't always spread super nice. It kind of gloms up on itself, okay? So I don't know if you guys can see, because Camera Crew is holding the camera at an angle where I don't think you can see.
I can see what you're gluing.
Yeah, well, there are certain steps that are a little harder to film than others.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so there it is. You guys see the stringiness? Now this stuff is pretty clear, and this we get from FMS, okay? We have links to get this. It's about the same price as foam to foam. Foam to foam is a little bit better at putting warning labels on, but I actually slightly prefer this China glue. It's more clear, and it doesn't get a skin on it as much, so it still looks shiny, okay? If I had foam to foam, which is the other product that we use a lot, I'm gonna let this cook off while I show the foam to foam. Foam to foam works fine, but it's called foam to foam, like with the number. This stuff gets a skin on it when you first apply it, and it's like an oxidation skin. See how it's like kind of dull? It will still tack up, but it just, I don't know. This stuff it's tacky, it stays clear all the time, which is, I like better. Okay?
More tacky.
Well, it just stays more tacky. I just have an affinity for tacky things, okay? So look at this, guys, watch this. I'm running it along the black pieces. And then look, when I set this down, go up high. See this? I'm lining up with that. I'm lining up with that, okay? That gets me really close to where I need to be. And then I'm just pressing this in. And that, oh, you son of a biscuit lover. Get in there. See, I'm pressing it so that that seam is about right. And then when people see this plane, though, they're going to be like, that's hideous. Your wing struts are obviously wrong, Brian.
You obviously didn't trim your random piece of.
And I think my wing struts look perfectly good. Because this is a 3D profile plane thing. Whoa. I thought I had a giant drip of CA, but it was just this clear plastic. So now, that is this flat wing. There is no dihedral in it. I don't know if we're supposed to be like forcing it into that thing. And if that's the case, then I guess we'll learn that later. But to be frank, this build is not that hard. It's just kind of weird.
I mean, if you don't follow most of the instructions, it's not nearly as bad.
If you ignore most of the instructions, then it's actually pretty easy. But, okay, so now putting on the prop should be pretty easy. Let's do that now. Here's the prop. There is a nylock. That's always weird. Don't like nylocks that much, guys. Okay. And it comes off. Then look, this has a little filler that's supposed to go in the back because you can see there's movement, okay? So the way this works is you find the shaft that this fits through. That fits, but it's loose. That fits, but it's really loose. That doesn't fit, and that doesn't fit. So there's one that does fit, and it's that one. So once you get it on the prop shaft, give it a little twist-a-rooski, drop that back. Some people put a little drip of glue on there. I probably would have done that back in the day, but then I realized it's all held together by the assembly. Okay. Then that's gonna get squished on there when you torque that nut, okay? So then this will, of course, propel the model forward. Okay, so, and by the way, if you didn't see, that's a 9x47. 9x47 should be visible on the front of the plane when you're looking at the front of it. And that's going to tell you if you got it right. Okay, so we're going to hold the stator, which is the outside of this motor here. And we're going to have to get something to torque that on there. The good news is the build is basically done, folks.
Yeah.
There's not much more to this model that you could even do other than, there's not much more to this model that we have to do other than maybe check the center of gravity.
Oh, yeah.
And the center of gravity cannot be checked yet because we don't know what battery we're running and we don't know the receiver yet. So really all we have to do is tighten this down and then the plane is like done-ish.
Right.
Then we kind of migrate into the radio setup portion. So Brian Phillips RC is noteworthy for doing Unbox build radio setups, not because, well, I don't know if I want to say that like we're especially good at it. We've just have done a lot of it, right?
Yep.
It's like if you're here for mediocre performance, you're in the right place. Brian Phillips RC will never let you down. Sometimes we might let you down because we have a random good day, but we don't want to disappoint. So we try to set the bar extra low. Okay, so that's torquing tight.
Okay.
That should work.
Okay.
Pretty cool. Looks sweet. Now, I gotta say, profile planes, I think the Tundra is very pretty. We have a Tundra, we have the Grand Tundra, right? Mm-hmm.
We do.
Grand Tundra V2.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, whatever the most current one is.
And that plane is awesome. And we did fly it on a high volt pack, which is kind of nice. This plane is very much profile looking.
Yes.
So when you guys are, and by the way, this string, we did not need the applicator string. I'll save that, hun.
Okay.
Just in case.
But why would they include a random string?
So that you can square the wing. But guys, it is not that hard to square the wing. There's a seam right down the middle. Make sure that you line up in the center. There is no other way to do it. Does that look square?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something.
No, I mean.
Because it's not really that hard to do, okay? So now the next big thing we have to figure out, that we're probably gonna need China glue to glue our receiver, okay?
Yeah,
or
probably.
Velcro to Velcro our receiver.
Yes.
So we're gonna use a stabilized receiver because that's like the way we do things, because then we can turn on Safe and AS3X. Now, for those of you that don't know anything about Safe and AS3X, artificial stabilization 3-axis, AS3X. and safe sensor-assisted flight envelope are a Spectrum product. So it's like a competitor to, Hobby King. Well, it's not really so much a competitor as much as they sell Spectrum equipment, and then they would have a Turnigy offering, okay? That they, of course, they've offered to have us use their equipment, and I'm like, yeah, we're kind of Spectrum guys. So that's not to say that you couldn't use their offering, whatever it happens to be. Go for it. But we'll show you how to set it up on Spectrum. Spectrum is very popular, especially in the retail hobby enthusiast market. It's very popular. Okay. Now, is it perfect? No, but I don't think any solution is perfect. I think it's a very good fit for what we do, and so we do it a lot. And it's also where you're going to get a lot of help when you're brand new in the hobby on places like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you guys get your content from, which we're on all the platforms in case you're wondering. We just don't do much on TikTok. We're
Mostly just shorts.
We're very, 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 very small on TikTok, okay? So our next move is we have to set up a profile on this thing to talk to the receiver that's going to ultimately be in that thing. Now, you also notice that we took out our Y cable because I want to use separate channels for the left and the right aileron, and they're going to become what we call flapperons, so that I can bring this in super slow and or do spoilerons. I don't know why we would use spoilerons on this plane. We'll use flapperons because it's the full length aileron, or a near full length. It's just short of this, so it's got clearance for the fuse, where the fuse would be, okay? So usually full length flapperons are actually pretty effective, and I have pretty good results from them most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. Now, outboard ailerons do not always give us great experiences, and so we don't oftentimes use ailerons that are way outboard as flapperons, because it just didn't always really help that much. A lot of times we'll do spoilerons where they go up together and then they continue to function as ailerons when they're very far outboard, and you get some benefit, but it just depends on what you're trying to do. Flaps and spoilers do different things, okay? Spoilers bleed off lift, flaps induce more, okay? But the weird thing is the way it fleshes out in an aircraft, like a radio controlled aircraft, a lot of times you can impact similar outcomes, which is slow down for landing, or get into a better angle of attack for landing, or use a flap to elevate or tie for more aggressive 3D handling. I don't do a lot of that, but we have done it in the past a couple of times. It's very easy to turn on in a radio system like that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up flapperons so that we can make this thing fly in more of like a STOL performance. I'm guessing that it's gonna get off the ground in like no time anyway, to the extent that you could, just hand launch like this. I'm pretty confident it's gonna have plenty of power to do that. It is light, seems robust enough. The elevator assembly was not that big a deal. So we have to make a decision on how many channels we need so we can pick the right receiver. Now, if you're ever in any doubt, check the links in the video description below. We'll show the plane, we'll show the battery packs that we used or recommend. Sometimes we do both. So what we used, what we recommend might be two different options. This is kind of a weird size, so it's probably gonna be these Hobby King offerings, okay? So when you order the plane, you order the batteries. If you need to get one of these, the links are gonna be a little bit different location, but we will show you the receiver that we used, okay? And just to be clear, when you buy the stuff from the links, you help support us financially, so we appreciate you doing that. That's our 2-second blurb. That being said, we do want you to have the right setup so you can follow along, especially if you're brand new to the hobby. We're not gonna leave you halfway through a project and then say, oh, figure it out. No, we're gonna do the whole thing start to finish so that you don't have to figure it out. But if you need to deviate from what we do in this video, just keep in mind, we're trying to give you a baseline of minimal, this is the minimum you can get. You can always extract more value out of these models if you go deeper, okay? Sometimes it's a waste of time. I've learned that from personal experience. It's not always true. It just depends on what you want to put into the model, okay? So the battery we have designed or decided already, I think we're gonna end up mounting the receiver like maybe under the wing here.
Okay.
Okay, I want it on a flat plane surface, okay? And we need to know how many channels, which we were just discussing when I interrupted myself. So we need an elevator, we need a rudder, okay? We need an aileron and another aileron, so there's 4, and we need throttle. We don't need flaps because that's the ailerons, okay? Then we're gonna need some sort of an on and off function for safe stabilization, all that. Well, we're still under 6 channels, so we should be able to use a 6-channel receiver, because most of the stabilized receivers are going to start at 6 channels, and they're going to go up to 8, and they're going to go to 10, and they're going to go on into servo chunks. Now, it would be nice if there was a 4-channel stabilized receiver, because usually a lot of sailplanes would be able to get away with that. But my experience is there's not a huge cost savings there. So even if you could get a 4-channel with stabilization, it's probably not necessary. Just get the 6-channel with stabilization. Okay. So we're going to probably use an AR630 because it is lengthwise with the plugs rather than an end pin, which would make our plugs kind of come out in weird ways. An AR630 is a little bit cheaper than an AR631, and it also omits the external antenna, which will be nice in this application too. There's not a huge difference in price, like $5 or something like that. So we'll link to the 630. If you use the 637T, then you will be able to get the barometer function for Vario. If you want to have a Vario on this, I don't know why you would want a Vario on this, but you also get more telemetry functions. So you could have voltage feedback, because this is not an Avian ESC. You're not going to get any telemetry feedback on your voltage unless you were to use that. And then of course you would have to tap this tiny little XT30, okay? So I don't want to do that either, especially not in this tight environment that's going to be relatively exposed to the environment. Okay, so I think the right choice is AR630. I'll grab one and come right back. All right, so the AR630 Plus, indicated by the plus, just indicates that it is the newest firmware in the 3.XXX and up, as opposed to the older version before AS3X Plus. So this will be equipped with AS3X Plus. There was a firmware update after the last firmware update we did, but I think it might be for receivers. So either way, I don't know. If you decide to update your firmware, that's probably a good idea.
If you want port mapping.
If you want, well, there's
and a couple other
there was some
things.
other weird fix. But anyway, if you register your stuff on Spectrum, then you'll get updates on your email, okay? So in order to install this, like I said, we have to actually set up a profile, but in order to open this, I usually pull off the staple, and then I open these up. Guys, if you buy these from the links in the video description below, you help support the channel. It's a good idea to have a few of these on hand if you're doing a lot of plug-and-fly planes, but my suggestion is, because there's always different choices, it might be beneficial as a new pilot to instead put your money into a few bind-and-fly planes, get what you can get out of them. As they get killed off by crashing, it will happen, then you can steal them out and reprogram them for another plane. And as you work into more plug-and-fly planes, like what we're doing here, where we provide our own desired pair of receiver and transmitter and our own desired battery, then you can do it how you want. No antennas, pretty simple, okay? There's a bind button on here, okay? And what Camera Crew was talking about is this bind program port is also available to be port mapped for another pluggable channel. Now that is not an issue on this.
Right.
Because the only thing we might add on this is if we were to put like on one of these Avian ESCs, you wouldn't even need a pluggable channel to make it go thrust reverse.
Right.
Or if we used a Predator ESC, which we've had worse experience with, flipping from forward thrust to backward thrust, that usually has on this little plug, there will be either a second plug that's a full 3-wire plug, or there'll be a singular data line that would go alongside the white. So white is your data, red is your positive power, and then black is your negative for voltage reference, okay? And then you'd have just a second signal, which is on a singular plug, okay? So that would take up a pluggable channel to activate or deactivate thrust reverse. Now, we're not gonna have that featured on this because it doesn't seem to have it. If there's a way to activate it electrically, I don't know what it is, okay? Now, if you're anything like me, you'll keep crap like this because you always need to fix windows and stuff. So I have a whole box of like hundreds of them. And I use them every once in a while on planes where I want to emulate a rudder with the steerable nose gear on a hand launch plane. I'll make a little clear rudder. You can't see it because I like rudders. So, all right. So the next thing we need to do is, obviously this thing is built. It's ready to receive the AR630, but we don't know exactly where we're going to mount it yet. So let's think about where the wires will reach. Okay. So obviously the ESC, we know where the ESC is going to plug in. So why don't we just try doing this without actually even having the profile. So that's going to go to port 1, which is typically where the ESC lands. And how do we know where the negative and the positive go? Well, if you look right here, it's silk screened on there. So they have the S for signal, plus, and then minus. Okay, so we'll plug that into port 1. And then we've got one of the ailerons. Then we've got, this is the elevator. We know that's the elevator. So what is it?
3. Oh,
3?
there'll be 3.
So camera crew knows that it'll be 3. Okay, so we'll plug that into 3. It's like, this is gonna be a challenge to reach all this crap. And then this is the rudder.
We'll go to 4.
Okay. What the frick? Okay, so I'm gonna pull this tighter. Look, pulling it tighter, pulling it tighter. I don't like doing that, but whatever. It's the only way I'm gonna reach, it looks like. So this one is gonna go to 4 according to the camera crew. Okay, so there's that. And then one of the ailerons is gonna plug in on this side and the other is gonna plug in on the other side. But we don't know which one's which yet because we haven't got our profile built, but let's just go ahead and plug into channel 2 on one of them. And then it will usually skip channel 5 because that would typically be saved for gear.
Yep.
And then
so
channel 6 will be for the other aileron. Now I'm just learning this, just along with you guys. I will not be able to probably reach all the way down to the bottom. I mean, I can reach the bottom. I just don't know if I'm gonna have enough length to plug this in. Yeah, it will, actually. Okay, so I'm gonna go to channel 6. We can always reassign where things are ported out, mapped out. Okay, so let's say we did that. Is there anything wrong with that?
Well,
so.
Your battery lead is right there. Where's your battery gonna go?
Well, in that case, we'll put the battery, well, the battery could plug in here. I guess you could pull this to the other side and just have the battery on the, plug on the other side. So let's just put that through and then back under to the other side. Oh, dang it. Look, I just pulled that out. Son of a biscuit. Pushed it back in. Okay, camera crew, go to the other side of my body. Thank you. Okay, so you see this? This is rounded on the side that's toward my belly and chest. And so I'm gonna try to walk that up so it doesn't rip up the foam. There it goes. Okay. So now I'm gonna separate this to one side, and I'm gonna separate the signal to the other, okay? But I want that to be contained. So that's where it's gonna be contained. Now that's gonna get hot, so just keep that in mind. When that melts into mine, you'll understand what happened. Okay, now this is flat. I want it on the bottom of the wing for a variety of reasons, but I don't think I'm gonna get so lucky as to have that much. I think we're gonna just, I don't like the way this cable is tangled. I'm gonna undo it. I'm gonna rotate it once. Okay, see this, everybody? I'm gonna take this, rotate it one time, and then I'm gonna just plug it in with the signal going up. You guys are probably thinking, good Lord, you're really challenging yourself today, aren't you, Brian? Yes, I am. Now it's plugged in, okay? So now this doesn't need to be pointed forward. I could point it backward, which would be actually fine. I can actually point it sideways if I want to. And maybe that's what we do, hon. You could technically put it there, but I want to keep this out of the way so that we have room to mount our battery. Because our battery is going to need somewhere to park and live, right?
Unless it's just going on the side. I don't think either of those batteries are going to fit in that little hole.
Well, I know, but that'll hold it really nice if we can get away with it. I'd rather not take up that option. Okay, so I need to spin this the other way. I don't know if I spun the wrong way or if I might have spun the wrong way, folks. My apologies if I did that. I don't mean to waste your time. That's why our videos are so short. Okay, see that? So there's two ways you can do this. You can glue this down. I'm just gonna glue it and be done with it, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so.
And then this wire is just gonna be what it is.
If we need to switch our aileron
what?
ports, are you still gonna be able to switch them the way if you glue it there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And I'm just doing a little cable management voodoo magic here. This is probably gonna ultimately need to be contained somehow. How bad does that one look? Yeah, it looks fine.
That's fine.
It's not ideal. It'd be kind of nice if this was on the bottom, but whatever. I'm just doing this. I'm thinking about, like, do I want to push this tight and then trap that one ESC wire? Or do I want to do it out here so I could trap the battery in there, like a pocket for the battery to go in?
Oh.
I think I'm just going to go tight.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to take and undo the glue. The camera crew has just informed me that we're about to run out of battery. And that is, for God's sake, would you take that, please? So, look at this, guys. I'm just gonna slather the goo on the bottom of this. It doesn't need to be a double-sided tape. It can be a double-sided tape. I didn't do as much as I do sometimes, mostly because I don't think it's gonna be a big deal. So now you can let that cook off if you want, or you can just set it down and just let it kind of relax itself into whatever media it's stuck into. And then I'm gonna work it side to side and forward to backward and then lift a little bit and just see if we've got enough contact. Yeah, see, I don't feel like I got enough glue on there. I feel like I'm gonna do a little more.
Okay.
So guys, what we're gonna do is we're probably going to, yeah, I need more glue. I feel like I didn't get enough glue, folks. So we're probably going to have to start our profile right after we get back from our battery outage, okay? Okay, so we'll just stick that down into the puddle that we created in the center. And I would like that wire to drop down. We can still pull it out of there, but it's just nice to have it contained because it'll look a lot nicer. Okay, there you go. So that's stuck. That'll stay stuck. Now these wires too, one other thing you can do is you can tuck those down into the belly of the beast. Okay. And I did not have beans for breakfast. This is the tail driver.
Yep.
By the way, no steerable tail wheel on this. I just noticed that. Then this could be just kind of tucked through to keep it out of the way. I don't know, it's probably good enough. Okay, so there you have it, guys. Now another thing too is you'll notice that there's a bit of a cant or a roll or however you want to look at it on this. So if you're thinking about doing this and going vertical with it, might not be the worst idea you've ever had. It's not going to change anything that much, but there will be one step where it's going to show the receiver mounted in a different position physically in terms of the forward programming steps, okay? All right, so that being said, build seems to be done. The only thing left is to get the battery in. Do we have enough time for the battery maybe?
We can try, yep.
Let's see. Okay, if we get cut off on the battery, we'll come back and tell you. So we have two batteries here, both of which are charged, okay? So we got 339 milliamp hours in this, so it's about a third of the charge. Then on this one, we got about 437 milliamp hours into this, both of which are quite a bit different in size. Don't know how that's gonna work out for us. Typically, we would do a little bit of a non-stick sort of solution. But I think on 3D models like this, 3D flying planes like this, that's the one it comes with, okay? I think we're gonna probably be trapped into using a Velcro solution, okay? So this comes with the model. I think many times this is the softer side is what comes on the battery, okay? So what we're gonna have to do is we'll have to make ourselves some sort of a strapping mechanism or just glue it on. So I think what we need to do is we need to just, we're gonna throw caution in the wind. We almost never do this, by the way. And we're just gonna plop this down and it's gonna be the way it is because I don't wanna talk about it anymore. What do you think, hon?
Yep.
Looks like a pretty good solution. Okay, so then on our batteries, since we have two different types of batteries, I think we're gonna go ahead and actually put Velcro on these batteries. I know some of you are thinking, but Brian, you would make something like this on every other model. You're right, I would. And I'm really kind of torn, but since there's two different sizes of batteries that we want to demonstrate or potentially demonstrate on this, I don't want to leave myself wanting on which one's going to give us the best performance, okay? So this will allow us to use either type. When I do Velcro, I like to do Velcro or hook and loop. This is a Velcro brand, almost guaranteed.
Right.
But I don't care. When I do Velcro, I like to do it in such a way that it's not covering any of my labels because I want to make sure that I can tell what's what, so I can see what it is, okay? So now we can check center of gravity now. I'm gonna stick that right there, and we're ready to actually initiate this plane. We should be able to quite easily plug that and reach. And I feel like we're gonna be super close in terms of energy density and weight so that we can kind of work that out between the two choices. So they were saying 70 to 80 millimeters back from the leading edge on this plane. Now, if you're doing real heavy 3D, you're gonna wanna fly this a little bit more tail heavy. So I'm just gonna put in 70 to 80 and I'm gonna mark this thing. Okay, so here's 70. Okay. So 70 puts you right to the seam, and then 80, okay. So I might need to mark 80. So 80 takes you back 10 millimeters, okay. So the center of gravity is either here or I'm gonna go 10 millimeters further back, because like there's quite literally a seam, okay. So I'm just gonna put a detent there and a detent there, okay. So there's our detent and there's our detent. So these are your center of gravity points if you're trying to test. So I can reach under here and I can tell that I'm like way tail heavy. On the back hole, I'm close. So I'm gonna pull this battery all the way forward. And on the front, I'm still very tail heavy. And on the back, I'm close. So I might have stuck this Velcro a little bit too far back.
Too far back.
But here we go. We're still not there. That was unfortunate, and yet probably what needed to happen anyway. So we're gonna stick this down here, and it's, you know what? That ain't gonna stick.
Oh, you're gonna have to glue it.
We've now pulled that all off, so we have to replace this now. Guys, learn your lessons from watching me screw up. I can't implore you enough. That felt like the Velcro was gonna be pretty sturdy. I am very surprised that came off. So I am going to re-adhere new adhesive to help this bond, and I am gonna put it further forward, okay? Quite a bit forward, okay? Now, some of you are probably thinking, but Brian, that's a 3D plane. You're like, you're not gonna fly it with the center of gravity, you know, like forward, are you? And the answer to that question would be, yeah, probably not. I'll probably fly it with it neutral because that's the way we show things. Now, there's people that don't like that. Some people do really heavy 3D flying, and that's fine, to all their own. But for me, my thinking is, I usually like to demonstrate these planes close to like the neutral center of gravity so that you know whether the plane can perform in a certain way or not. Okay, so let's put this right there. And I'm just gonna fold the lead back even though I'm not terminating it. And now on the back hole, we're now nose heavy. On the front hole, and I'm just trying my very best. It's a little bit kind of hard to tell if you're on the seam.
Yeah.
We're tail heavy and we're nose heavy. So I think we did it. And look, the piece came off because I jumped the gun a little bit on that glue. So sorry, folks.
We'll let it dry while our
We'll let it set up. That was sort of my mistake there.
But that's probably about the right spot.
I would say that's a little bit better because then, yeah, but you got to uglify the plane just to put the battery in. I just think that's lame. Okay, so there it is. That's what I'm gonna do. Also, that stuff that came off, I know what you guys are thinking. That's ugly as sin now. And the answer to your question is, yes, it is. But also, and frankly, it's nothing I can't fix with a red marker. And I'm just gonna show you that that's gonna take care of that right now because I feel embarrassed that that happened. And our battery is about to die. So that being said, now we have the center of gravity worked out. So when we come back, we'll be jumping back into starting the profile portion, the radio setup portion. So stay tuned. All right, so we're gonna start building a profile. So this will be our radio setup portion. Of course, this build's a little bit different because we got everything mounted. It's a couple hours later, full disclosure, it's dark. Had some family stuff to deal with. And you can see we've got everything mounted. This has been sitting there for some time, so it's all mounted and glued. And the wing is, you know, it was fine from 30 seconds after we glued it with the China glue. But now we just need to take the transmitter and we're gonna build a profile so we can set this up. So last plane we did was a GB, so we'll hit cancel and back. We'll do.
No, we're okay.
Are we?
Yeah.
Add new model, an acro, create. That should be okay.
That's before this.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. So we already did the model select. Now we have the model type, which we already set. If you change that, it'll clear everything. Then the model name. So this is where we type in the name. So this is, what is this? The Tundra TPX?
PX.
Okay, so we're going to type that in and come right back. All right, so we got the Durafly Tundra PX 1.05 meter, except I couldn't put the 05. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Aircraft type. Okay, so now we separated our ailerons, so we need to set this up for dual aileron or flaperon. Doesn't really matter. It's the same functional difference, but I want the flap menu, so I'm going to set it up for flaperons, and then normal tail. We'll go down and select an image. Oh, what are we going to do? I think there's one in here that would be, there's a profile plane.
Kind of that one.
That's pretty close. Let's see. Maybe it's better. That might be actually better still, because it's like pretty close to the shape and look of the plane. Let's do that. Flight mode setup, I'm going to set on switch D. So we'll just exercise that switch. Then we'll do spoken. So up here, I'm going to have AS3X, then I'm going to have off, then I'm going to have safe. Okay. So in order to do that, I'm going to highlight this, cancel, clears it. And then I'm going to type AS3X. Now, this is not actually setting up AS3X. This is just quite literally a labeling system for me to know what switch condition calls out what behavior. And so artificial 3-axis stabilization. And then I'll scroll down to about here and we'll have it. All right, so as you can see, there's AS3X. So that's the spoken, and that's the one that'll display on the flight menu screen, like when we're in normal flight mode. Then you just move the switch to the other setting. This one's going to be off, so highlight, cancel, and then I'll type in OFF. If you guys never noticed this, I use the legacy keyboard, which is what I like. If you don't know how to set that up, just go into system setup and change it on your transmitter. Okay, and then I'm going to choose off as the audio event. Now, this means off as in off between AS3X and safe. So if in doubt, you can turn off the setting. Okay, so we have AS3X, then we have off, and then we're going to have safe. So same thing, highlight, cancel, and then this is going to be sensor assisted flight envelope. And what that is auto leveling as well as stabilization. Okay. So we'll scroll all the way down to about here again. And guys, just in case you're wondering, I almost never do this. You cannot go up to the top, but you can select categories and you can do it that way. But back in the day, we used to get trapped in menu structure when we would go through there, and I just made up in my mind it was a pain in the butt. And when people are watching the Brian Phillips RC experience for an Unbox build radio setup, I want to kind of show how to do it from a virgin transmitter so that you guys would be able to get the maximum help. Did I go past safe? Yes. There
yes.
It is. Okay. Okay, so now normally you don't have to actually hit the test button. It'll just update the audio event from this event. Okay, so switching. All right, so then channel assign. Let's see if we need to make any assignments. It looks like gear is on A. We're not actually hooked up to anything on A, so it's really going to be irrelevant for us in this case, but I'll leave it attached. And then aux 7 is attached to B. I'm going to be using B for my flaps, so I want to disassociate that. But just to be clear, that is an unpluggable channel for us, given that we have 6 channels of plugs. But with new port mapping, you could actually technically have 7 plugged into this. But in our case, we're not worried about that. We don't need it. I don't mind having the rotary knob on aux 8. That's fine. Let's use aux 9. We could use aux 7 because that's above the pluggables. But I'll just use aux 9 for switch D, or click into that and scroll all the way to the left and then 1 to the right, and you'll see flight mode. That's the same thing in this case. So aux 9, which they changed the numbering and nomenclature here recently on Spectrum. And so aux 10 is channel 10, which makes sense and it's nice, but it used to be that you would go to gear and then it would be aux 1, aux 2, aux 3, it's very confusing because you've got this, very unusual numbering system. And if you ever go to next, you'll see there's all the rest of your unpluggables. And you also notice that you have a little bit different variation of the resolution on the very top end channels from 13 through 20. We don't ever really tap into those, just so you know. And then trim setup, you can separate your trims in your flight modes. I don't, but if you need to do that, you can do that by going in here, and you see how it says common. Like if you wanted those to be separated out, you can separate them by flight mode, which is why I use flight mode in addition to just the switch action, because you can make the switch action change the auxiliary 9 behavior without actually being a flight mode. But flight mode gives us the audio event tie. It also gives us that display up on the display, and it's just helpful in that sense, okay? But I'm not going to change this because I want to keep them all together, okay? So now what I'll do is I'll keep going through here and we'll walk out. You can see right there, AS3X off and safe, okay? So now, but this is just a call out. This is just a label. That's all it is. It doesn't actually set it up yet. Okay, so we'll click. We're gonna go in first and do throttle cut. We're gonna highlight that, set it to switch H for safety. I wish that was defaulted on. It would be a safety thing in my opinion. Throttle is down to 0. If you move the stick, it stays down at 0. That means throttle cut's working, throttle cut's off. And I call it out verbally to help build a good habit. If you don't have the habit, start doing it. It'll help. It's very easy. And again, it's not the nanny state here on Brian Phillips RC. You can do stupid things and burn your house down and cut your fingers off if you want. But we're going to give you some tips and tricks to avoid that to the large degree. I play with a lot of helicopters, a lot of airplanes that could really hurt me badly. And I've been cut one time. Actually, I've been cut more than once because if you include the X-Acto knife cuts.
Well,
but I've been cut by props one time. And it was a very short prop. And it was on an Aero Commander UMX. And I was binding 2 receivers so I could add flap function. Anyway, long story short, I've been cut by a big prop. And I'm fortunate because as much as I play with them, you would think I would eventually have exposure to it. But I haven't. Because habits make a safe environment. Just like this. Throttle cut. Okay. All right. Rates and Expo. We're going to set this up. This is really easy stuff. But once you set it up, you'll notice the distinct improvement in the flight characteristics. Now, this is kind of a 3D profile plane. So we might set up a little extra business. But I'm going to show you the standard setup that I usually do. I usually do this. Okay. So this is where I start. I have a doubling effect. Also drop rates a little bit. That'll make it softer down here if it's too touchy. This is where I would start. This will be more touchy. This will be less touchy. This will be neutral in the middle, okay? And then we set that to all 3 of the primary flight controls. So we have 5, then 10, then 20, okay? And then we drop the rate down to 99, or 90, excuse me. So what that does is that only loses the very top end of the throw, but Expo is going to soften the center of the sticks. That's what this chart shows, okay? This is a highly subjective step. You don't have to do this step if you don't like it, but I would highly recommend if you're going to fly airplanes and you need help, then follow our advice and get the baseline and then build on it, okay? We've helped a lot of people that have struggled for years to fly successfully, and then what we do is we dumb it down to the very basics, and then they can build on that. Okay. So now we have all 3 channels of control tied to one switch. Why not separate them out? Good question, because this switch handles AS3X and safe. You're going to turn it on to what you're using. It's going to basically be set for flight. Then you've got this switch, which is switch B. We haven't set it up yet. We'll be doing that in a minute. That'll be for flaps. Then you have gear back here. You can't see it very good. We're not going to use gear, okay? On this plane, there are not retractable landing gear, so it doesn't matter. But then you've got this knob, which is going to be master gain. I rarely have to play with that, but occasionally on Maiden, we have to change the gain. I'll show you how to set that up, okay? Remember, these are non-bind and fly plays. They're plug-in flies. We have to set them up from scratch. I want to give you the best chance at success, which means opportunity to land, okay? Then you can always change it. So let's say that you know, you're flying along and the elevator feels pretty good, the ailerons feel pretty good, but it's super touchy on the rudder, okay? Well, then what you would do is you would jump into this menu when you land and you go, okay, well, the only thing that was really touchy was this. So I used this setting to get to the ground. So then you would jump in here and you would go over to rudder and you would say, okay, I want to make that my neutral setting. So then this becomes 20. And you could even drop the rates down, or maybe you leave the 100%. Then on this setting, I want a doubling effect to really soften the sticks. And I'm gonna drop that rate way back. And then up here, we know that's way too touchy on the rudder, so we're gonna set it to this, okay? Now that is just an analysis of how you could do it, okay? You don't have to do it that way, but it's just an opportunity. You need it. So I'm gonna set this back to the normal setup, but I wanna give you an idea of how you might set it after you land. The idea is you use this one singular switch to help give you the opportunity to land. If you don't have the opportunity to land, you might lose the plane on maiden. Guys, remember, when you see Brian Phillips RC flying, we're flying it the first time ever, okay? Most of the time. So when you see me fly a plane, it's the first or second or third flight I've ever done with it, okay? That's what we do, always, okay? So if you're like, hey, I can land that way better than Brian, well, that's because, you know, you've probably done it more than 3 times, okay? Not always true, but sometimes. All right, so getting back to the point, I want to set the stage for success for people that are returning to the hobby and people that are brand new to the hobby. All right, so what's next? Throttle cut set. Now let's set up timer. Where is timer? There it is. I don't know how long this flight's gonna be. I'm just gonna go on the safe side and say it's gonna be about a 5-minute flight time. We're gonna set it to be active for one time. That means when I go over 25%, it's gonna activate the timer and it's gonna run until such a time as we hit a voice warning at 1 minute. And then at 10 seconds, it's gonna be a voice countdown with a tone and vibrate for expiration with a tone every minute thereafter. So when I start the timer, it starts running and it counts down. When I clear it, it clears. When I start it, it runs. Now, why do we want that to be automatic, folks? We want it to be automatic because automatic timers are automatic. When you switch to batteries, you still need to clear your timer. But also, throttle cut, I want you to see something. Throttle cut, by the way, I want to start in the middle on the Expo. Make sure you set that back to the middle. Throttle cut does not stop the timer from starting, okay? The electronic speed control will not turn that prop on with throttle cut on, but it will start. It is gonna start the timer. I wish that they were not tied together. So, but they are, and that's just the way it is. I didn't design it, but it is the way it is, okay? So now we need to set up flaps, but we don't know what direction they need to be set, so that might be set after we bind. Let's go in and do the preliminary stuff. Flap system. Turn it to switch B. And then we're gonna set up, these are flaperons, but because they're full length, we can do the standard type of deployment, okay? But for now, I'm gonna set it to nothing, and I'm gonna set my speed to 2 seconds, and then I'm gonna set this flap position to something, and this flap position to something else. I don't know what direction they're gonna go. It really doesn't matter yet. That's just gonna help remind me that I have a difference in positions, okay? So I'm gonna start in the middle, which is neutral. So then when I move the ailerons, everything should be working right, and I will try to remember that, okay? Ordinarily, I would fly, take off flaps, landing flaps. Okay, so I'm in the middle now. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so walking out. Now keep in mind with flaperons, you're only gonna be taking half of the sweep. So you're gonna probably have like a -50 and a -100, and the top will be 0. Unless of course you have spoilers, which we'll talk about in a minute. But for now, let's get this thing bound up. Throttle cuts on, throttle sticks down. Give yourself the best crack at success. We've got our Expo set up. And now we just need to hook up a battery and wake up the receiver. So now one thing you gotta keep in mind is that you'll be working in relatively close proximity to the prop. So let's talk about this. How do you keep yourself safe with a prop that's so exposed on a plane that's like, you know, right here? It's gonna be right up in your chest, okay? The answer is, I don't know. Just be careful. We're gonna use the battery that came with it. So, first things first, keep the leads away from the prop, okay? That's step one. Step two, we already kind of know approximately where this needs to be so that the center of gravity will sort of kind of work out, okay? So you'll notice my strap goes further back. That's because I tend to think that this plane is gonna wanna fly more tail heavy because it's going to fly more insane, and that's the way people are gonna tend to fly this type of profile plane. They're not gonna fly it like super overstable, really easy flying. You're gonna tend to wanna get a little bit more tail heavy so you can do hammerheads and prop hangs and all that junk, okay? Because that's what people tend to do with this type of plane, okay? So now, I am gonna control this plane like this. So if that prop started, could I tolerate sitting here and waiting? Well, the truth is, even if it went to full throttle, which has never happened to me, I could rotate the plane and I could secure it as it's going full bore. It would take me a second. It would be very surprising, okay? But generally they don't arm until we have allowed it to be armed, which we haven't, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna plug this in, and then I have to go over here and hit this button to bind, okay? This button to bind. It's right here, okay? You see where my arm is? You see where my arm is? Where is that?
In the prop.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to be mindful about how I'm gonna get in there to press the button, okay? But we also, by the time all that goes down, we will have established if it's going to start running or not. Don't put your transmitter in a spot where the plane could come up and whack the throttle or do something crazy. So, you see, there's clearance, we've got room, I don't have to worry about it. All right, safety first, I'm Brian Phillips, RC, all right? I'm not sure I'm like sold on the way we did that Velcro, by the way. I am not like really thrilled with that.
Okay.
You know what else we could do? We could just put that over the top. Maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. It just takes up too much real estate on this side. I almost wonder if it'd be better just put that on the other side.
And have your lead go over the top.
Let's try it and see how it feels. Because I'm just like not real excited about the way that feels, okay? So you see what I just did?
Yep.
I mean, that's one thing, and I gotta say this. Every profile plane we have has had some fugliness to it in some way or another. This one definitely struggles from the fugliness in certain arenas, okay? So that's not to take anything away from the design, but it's sort of like the design aspect. So, you know, what they say, the customer is always right in matters of taste, right?
Right.
Is there one other thing?
And no.
No, in matters of taste.
Taste only.
Yeah, because the customer is not right when the engineer says you need a beam that's 36 inches wide.
Right, you don't get to pick to not do that.
But when they pick a black building versus a white building, that the customer is right.
Right.
Okay? If that makes sense. All right, so I'm gonna plug this in. I'm gonna secure the plane. Nothing has happened. So far we're good. But also, there we go, so it's beeping. But look, now that it's not started, I feel comfortable showing you this. See that receiver, there's no lights. You're gonna need to move to the other side if you haven't connected the dots yet there, camera crew. I need to press this button, okay? In order to do that, I'm gonna reach in here, press the button. Haha, now there's flashing, okay? I would ordinarily do this in a different order, but I'm gonna just do it this way. Click, scroll down to bind, and then before I bind, I need to secure the plane, but I want you to be able to see what happens to the light conditions. So I'm just trying to find a spot where I can do both at the same time. Bind.
Binding. DSMX 22 milliseconds. Telemetry.
Okay.
Bind complete.
Okay, we're waiting for the auto config. My hand is here. I have security of the plane. Camera crew, over here again. Okay, everything is started. We have movement, great. We have rudder. We don't know what direction. Throttle cut is on. We're gonna test this. It's working. Throttle cut is off. That has a lot of power. Throttle cut's on and tested. Okay, we can now trust the plane. Once you trust the plane, it's easier to do these things. Doesn't take near as long. And I wanna point out one thing. Look at that connector on that XT30, look at it.
Look
What
at
do you
it.
see about it? What's wrong with it?
The actual connection itself.
What's wrong with it?
I don't know. It looks kind of janky.
Look, people. This is a Phillips screwdriver. There's hardly any purchase when I plug this in. I'm taking this screwdriver and I'm going to put it on the tip of the X, and I'm going to open these pedals out. Okay, look at that. You see what I just did? I opened that up. Okay, it's so small that it's kind of hard to get in there. But like, I feel like there's no purchase on that at all, hardly. And this might be too big of a screwdriver, actually. Oh, there we go. See what happened? Look, the pedals just got pulled open.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to try to penetrate. And that's because this cross shape is going to open up the pedals on this connector. Okay, see that? Look at that. Now watch this. When I plug this in, because why do we care about the plug being strong on this particular plane versus a normal plane, camera crew?
Well, it's a little exposed.
Oh, the other thing too is, look, there's a place where you could put a strap under there and you could go around, but there was no strap included.
Oh.
Huh, interesting. I didn't even think about that, but you could totally put a strap through there and secure your battery, which actually would work pretty nice if you were to do something like this. And then you could just like put that further over, or you could even, see, it's still wanting to pull that off. We're gonna have to put more China glue even still on that, because we must have just got a little light on there. But I feel like this is probably about where it's gonna end up being for normal flight. We're tail heavy on the front, we're nose heavy on the back. So it's gonna end up being about there. So like, this thing could be glued wherever, you know? So if we have a little strap through there, great. And also, look at this. It's wanting to peel it off every time. That is so annoying. See, the only thing holding that is the China glue.
Well, we just need to put more on that
We
end.
got to put more on that end, because I don't want to peel that whole thing off again.
No.
I feel like we'll get enough hold. And by the way, this is not the first time we've seen this on a profile plane, okay? And I tried to center this, but you see how it's kind of favored to one side slightly? You can peel this off the battery easier than you can peel that off of your plane if you would get an alignment issue, okay? So we'll go right here just for testing purposes. We'll put that back, and then we're gonna plug this back in. Remember, it was just giving us, it didn't feel like enough resistance, okay? Now, the other thing you can do too that might give you a little bit more of an edge on security is you could try to stuff this in through here as well, and then that'll be one more thing to hang on to it, you know, that keeps it kind of tight, you see?
Yeah.
But like, I'm just not sure that that's necessary yet. It kind of depends on how crazy you fly. And then you have to push that ESC back into position. I've always thought that was kind of wonky about 3D profile planes. Okay, so plugging that in, oh, way better purchase now. Okay. Wait for it to arm. Make sure nothing changes. Remember, we can trust this plane now because we've already tested it. Now that we can trust this plane, I can turn it away from me. And we've only had one plane fly across the kitchen into the stove. Do you remember which one?
Yeah.
Which one?
The SE5A.
The Sopwith. Is that right? Am I say that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So now we can test control surfaces. Elevator up. Ooh, went the right way. Elevator down. It's so low it lifts the plane up. Okay, that's ironic. Okay, now roll left. We got lucky. Goes the right way. Okay, now yaw left and yaw right. Whoa, look at that. It bends it and it bends it. Okay, so a couple things to note. You can bind your elevator with your rudder.
Yeah.
So I don't often suggest this, but you may need to back off your controls a little bit so that you don't bind it and you don't destroy your rudder. I don't like doing this, but I'm gonna do it. Okay, so let's go to servo setup, travel. So on rudder, I'm gonna drop it down to like 75%. I wanna see how far it'll go. It's still touching, okay? So I'm gonna take 75%. I'm doing it neutrally so let's go to 70, okay? That's really dang close. On the way up, you're good. On the way down, you're good. It's just barely touching. So I'm gonna go to 69. Okay. Now, once we're in the air, I don't mind. I don't mind that can hit the ground. It's just sort of wonky. Okay, so we're gonna go 69 on the rudder, okay? Very good. Good speed, should be fun, okay? So now I'm going to look at flaps. Flaps. So that went up. That's not unusual or unexpected. That's exactly what I expected, in fact. And you'll notice that this one's down. Look, it's down a lot, okay? So in a neutral position, gosh, there's so much throw, it's ridiculous. Okay, so this we need to bring up because that one is pretty darn perfect.
Yep.
So how do we bring that up? We're gonna have to unhook this. We're gonna have to make it longer, okay? And there's more throw. You could go to the outside hole. Jeez. This thing is being nutty. Guys, I do fear that you're gonna have a hard time seeing this. The camera crew is gonna have to move her body to where she can see, okay? So I'm gonna slide this fuel tube down. I'm gonna pull the dingling out of the tip, see? Then I need to go out from where this was pulled down so that it's even here, okay? So I gotta unscrew this out. So there's 1, there's 2, and I think we'll go 3 and maybe 4 half turns. Then I'm gonna put this back on, push the dingling through the hole. See the dingling there? Watch it, it should pop in there once it lines up. Let's see if this is enough. There it goes. So look, is that dingling squared up? We went too far. We need to go 1/2 of a turn. So I'm gonna come out of the hole with the dingling, then I'll go back in, as in screw it in. Then I'm gonna lift this. Can you see? I can't tell if you can see.
I can see.
I feel like my hand is blocking everything. Okay, so then look at that, lined up really nice right there. Okay, so snap the dingling into the hole, pull the fuel tube down the length of it. Gosh, you're just like nothing to hold on to. There we go. Okay, so now that we have those evened up, let's check this out. The elevator, we set the stage the way we glued it, so we pretty much had it centered because we centered it with the servo signal tester, aka the XBC 200. But now the ailerons, okay, are gonna come back to neutral, to centered position there, okay. Beautiful, okay, so now takeoff flaps and landing flaps. So in the flap system, this is gonna be 0, okay. Wrong way, okay, so we wanna go negative. So let's say for takeoff flaps, we want like 25, negative 25, okay? And since this is full length, it's also gonna be inboard, which means this needs to go down. So let's watch the direction of travel. We want this to go down, so whatever direction. Yep, so we want a positive value. So let's go to like +6. Way over there.
Because there's a glare.
Okay, then, so let's go to 6, okay? And then for full landing flaps, we gotta bring this even more down negative. Let's show you what you could do, which is nuts. That's more than we need, okay? Jeez. Okay, so I'm gonna go from 100. Let's do like 75. That is still an insane amount. Why don't we go to like, let's see what 60 looks like. Because then you still have tons of throw on both sides, okay? And then let's do like 10, okay? So now watching the elevator goes down, goes back up, goes back to neutral, okay? Now, how do we know that the elevator, by the way, look at that. See that? It's already down again. See that?
Is it the foam itself then?
No, it's down because there's not enough precision. But watch this, see how it's down? Does it look down anymore? It's hard to tell. I think it's down. Okay, we're gonna, throttle cuts on, stay where you are. Okay. Throttle cuts on, I'm just gonna pop this off and I'm gonna shoot it out 1/2 a turn, okay? Because we already know 4/2 was enough to get us close, okay? I'm just gonna defer to, which way do I wanna go? Out, was that in? That was in. There's out, okay? Sorry, hard to do this without blocking the view, folks. I'll do my best. Okay, so now that that is run out, another 1/2 turn, look, it looks perfect now. You'll find that on cheaper servos, you sometimes fight this because there is a ton of throw on this surface. Okay? And look, it's down again. So I just don't think you're gonna get the precision that you might expect, but I don't think it's gonna matter because you're gonna be doing big control inputs on this. By the way, I don't know if I have enough correction on this elevator because it's a full, there is a lot of deflection on this elevator. It's kind of an insane amount. Also the rudder, look at the rudder. The rudder is kicked at an angle. Do you see that?
Yes.
So we gotta check that too. Now you're probably thinking, well, what about forward programming? What about safe? What about AS3X? And we're gonna get to that here in a minute. You gotta have all this crap worked out first, okay?
Yeah.
That's the correct order. So it's kicked like this. We gotta center that, which means I need to take off the clevis and screw it in 2 or 3 turns and that'll square it up, okay? Now, we may end up trimming it back to this position anyway, but it doesn't matter. I don't wanna start with it all wonkadelic. And you're like, Brian, why don't you just trim it? Because I want the best out of my plane, okay? And you should too, okay? So let's go ahead and undo, take the dingling out of the hole. Now, we need to go in, right? Yes. So I'm gonna hold this here. Ooh, yeah, half a turn, 2/2 a turn. I'm just gonna go for 3. 3's probably about right, okay? Then that means my dingling's gonna stick in from the other direction this time, okay? Ooh, look at that. That looks pretty dang tootin'. Nope.
I think the rudder itself is slightly
No.
twisted.
Well, that might be true. Yeah, because I'm kind of looking here.
Yeah.
This is also a little bit thicker than that. I think we're good enough with that, okay? So I'm gonna slide this back on after I snap the dingling in. Okay, so now it's in there, very good. Now, I just wanna point out one other thing that it seems a little bit like, yeah, I would like to see. We're so close to this. Is there a reason that we couldn't actually have this go through and bite into that plastic and actually give us a steerable tail wheel? It'd be nice to have a steerable tail wheel. But I will tell you this, under throttle, you'll be able to still ground handle. Just gonna sound like you had some beans for breakfast.
I don't think you're gonna be on the ground long enough to.
Nah, I know, that's probably true too. Elevator up, elevator down. Y'all left, y'all right, roll left, roll right, okay? So all the surfaces are working. Now, one other thing too, that some of you guys might want to do, this is just an idea, servo setup, whoops, excuse me, rates and expo. Okay, so we do our standard setup here. Sometimes I will make a crazy mode on 3D profile planes where this expo goes from 5 to like a negative value. And then you actually increase the center of the stick so you can do more incredible 3D. Easier. But it does make for a really wonky, like crazy plane, okay? I feel like this is probably not gonna be enough for normal flight. This is probably gonna be where we end up landing the first time. And then we'll set something like this to like 0, okay? And that's gonna be our sensitive, roll elevator. The rudder, we're losing some of the rudder already. But remember, the application of rates when you get into this setting is going to be based on whatever the full setup of your channel is in servo setup, okay? So like we reduced this by 10%, okay? So even though we have this set to 69%, it's going to be 10% less coming from normal mode. So watch. Coming from normal mode, it's going to drop it down. See? How come it's hidden? Oh, it dropped back. You know what?
When you
We're now hitting because we
it.
adjusted it. Okay, so guys, our 69 is not enough anymore. So servo setup, let's go to 65. 65. Now we're clear.
Yep.
And now we're clear. But look how much we're missing over here, guys.
Yeah.
We're missing a ton over here. Oh, but you know what? That stands to reason because look at this. The way this hinge is cut out, see it's cut out on this side, which means we're actually hinging from this side of the wing, not that side. So that means we're gonna tend to close at different positions because of the way they cut the hinge out, okay? There's nothing you can do about that. That's my point.
Okay.
All right. So now the elevator, do we feel like the elevator is more or less where it needs to be? I guess that There's so much throw, guys. Who am I kidding? You could just trim it from the trimmers. But I want to show you how to set up forward programming next, because now that we have everything sort of set up to where all the basic functions are working, we have takeoff flaps, we have landing flaps, we have the correct direction of flap correction, we have ailerons rolling the right way, we have elevator moving the right way, we have rudder running the right way, we have throttle cut working, it's now tested, now throttle cut's off. That is a crap load of thrust. I've only been to like 30%. This thing gonna have a way more than 1-to-1 power to weight ratio, which should make for an amazing flight experience. Okay, we'll find out though, okay? So now let's go into forward programming. Okay, gyro settings, first time setup. Make sure all the crap is done that we talked about. Okay, we did that. Set it level and continue. Now, just so you know, this is not level, that's level, but this is not where it's setting the attitude of the aircraft for normal flight. This is just choosing between that and that to help figure out what direction it's mounted, but we'll still hold it level anyway. Okay, continue, put it on its nose, and then continue. Look at that. That's the way we have our receiver mounted. How do we check? Does that look right? Give them a shot of both, please. That looks right to me. Awesome. So now that this spatially aware receiver knows what orientation it's in, we can hit continue. Gain channel select, we have the rotary knob. So I'm gonna highlight this, and I can't just exercise it. I have to scroll it in. There it is, that's the one, and it says rotary knob. And then we're gonna apply. Now watch, it's rebooting. You're gonna hear once. So it says exit to main menu, return to forward programming. I'll return to forward programming. Come on, reboot. There it goes. One set of dances. There'll be two when we have safe turned on. Okay, so now we're gonna go to gyro settings. AS3X settings. There's your gains for flight mode 1. It's not changing, so we got to make sure we set that up. How do we set it up? Gain sensitivity we'll mess with later. F mode setup. Flight mode channel. Remember, it's channel 9 is what we set it up to. So you can't just highlight that and move the switch. You have to scroll it in, which I don't understand. It's like the only menu structure where you can't just do that, which I don't understand why. So now look, this will change. Beautiful. Look at that. Okay, so what do I want in the off setting? I want that deactivated. That's offsetting. Sometimes we'll have that disconnected from the receiver. Just hit back, go back into forward programming. Gyro settings, flight mode setup. Flight mode 1, flight mode 2. I'm disabling that. Okay, I'm hitting next. You can still see it. Okay, walk back, walk back. Now I'm gonna go first time safe setup. Before setting up safe, you have to set up a flight mode, toggle through, make sure it's the same as what you just set. Okay, we're gonna hit continue. I want safe in flight mode 3. Okay, so this is where you level the model and you capture the attitude. This is where you need to set it. If you try to fly a plane in safe and it levels to this, it's gonna fly uphill, okay? So I am going to slide this pillow. I don't know if I have enough resilience with one. I'll have to use 2 pillows. You can use a plane stand, but I prefer to use my wife's things that are laying around that I probably paid for anyway, right?
That way when you put holes in them, you'll never hear the end of it.
Well, yeah. Okay, does that look pretty darn tootin' right there?
That's pretty level, yeah.
Okay, how do we know it's level? Because I want the flight attitude. It's gonna be going uphill still, right now. It's going uphill right now still. But now that those pillars are kind of like on top of each other, I can go up a little bit. I would prefer to have it fly perfectly level, because if you're in safe and you go to take off, you give throttle, it's just gonna pull itself level and just fly up, okay? That looks pretty good. There's a little bit of a positive angle of attack going up. I don't like it when they fly up, but I definitely don't want them flying downhill. And we have noticed that a lot on the bind and flies with the E-Flight stuff. I don't know why that is. Now you also have to look at it laterally. So give him a shot down low. Oh yeah, that's pretty dang good. Bring the camera down low.
I think you're going to be a little bit downhill now.
No.
You don't think so?
No. No. Go to the end. Look. Look at the wing. The wing is still pointed up like 1 degree.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what we're gonna set. And then when I turn it on, you could see if I was wrong. Okay. So then the other thing you want to do is this horizon needs to be level too.
Yes.
Okay. Look at that, -3 and -3. If they're off on both, I do it a couple of times. Now, why is it -3 on the roll? Show them this, nope, down the length. Why is that -3? Because this is mounted like that. This is cupped, right? Mm-hmm. If I would have done this on the vertical plane, I think it would have been 0 in that axis, right? So let's show the people what I'm talking about here on the screen. -3 on the roll and -3 on pitch. Pitch is obvious. That's easy to explain because we had to lift it up, okay?
Yeah.
Next. Okay, so this is
AS3.
safe is off still. So in flight mode 3, I'm going to turn this to self-level and angle demand. And then I'm going to open up the window so that there's the least amount of angle limitations possible, but it's still turned on, okay? I don't really want angle demand. I just want auto leveling. The funny thing is there isn't a choice for that. You can only do envelope, which is only this, or self-level with angle demand, but there isn't just auto leveling. I would rather have self-level and leave the other feature off. Because then no matter what you do, it's like panic when you let go.
Right.
But panic, by the way, is more aggressive than just going into safe. And it lasts for a few seconds because it's sometimes tied to a momentary push button. I rarely set up panic because I have a hard time on programmable instruments getting up here to pressing that button. Now on the beginner level, entry level, DXS, DXE, they have more of like a trigger style. On the Batman controllers that are real small, look like a Batman shape, those ones you can get to really easy, so they're more effective, okay? So self-level, now in this mode, it's off, so these become irrelevant. It says inhibited. And then it's also inhibited here, okay? So that's the one we really only care about that. Hit next, apply. Now watch for 2 dances. Okay? Dance 1. Dance 2. That's how you know that safe has been activated, but it's not necessarily on. It just happens to be on in this case. So we'll return to forward programming. Other settings. What is this crap?
What's that?
Whoa, cool. That's the additional output stuff. We'll have to figure that crap out later. Okay, never mind. Forget about that, guys. So what I was looking for was system setup. Okay, is it orientation? Where the heck is it? It's under utilities.
For the...
There it is, gyro response test. Now there's other ways to test this, but I like to show this because it is a nice setup, okay? So I can take this and I can lay it, jeez, it's like it's attacking my pillows.
That's how it's trying to level it?
Well, no, it's just, when you move, the gyro response, you gotta be careful on this one, because they'll run into each other. It's showing you the direction it's trying to correct, okay? So there's other ways to test this, but this is really obvious.
Yeah.
When I go this way, it resists. When I go that way, it should resist. When I go up, that should resist. It does. Okay, now look at the ailerons. Let's concentrate on there's 2 aileron channels. So you have to look at both. Up, oh yeah. Down, yeah. Same thing here, up, down. It's so easy to see. It's like, goodness gracious. So now I can hit back. Jeez, that was ridiculous. Okay, so I can hit back. I can hit back. AS3X settings. Gain sensitivity, 4X. Okay, watch this. Nothing. Why? Because we're in safe. Now we're in AS3X. Nothing. Why is it not working? Throttle cuts on, throttle's over 25 and back down, still nothing, right? It's because it's never been activated, okay? Okay, throttle cuts on, throttle's up, throttle's down, still nothing because we have to give throttle. Throttle cuts off. When you're in forward programming, it automatically cuts the throttle channel, okay? Throttle cuts off, throttle's over 25, that is aggressive. Throttle cuts on. Now look, roll. We're resisting the right direction, and also it's not gonna go past because we set up the servo output.
Right.
Now elevator, aileron up, aileron down, aileron up, aileron down. Even with takeoff flaps, you'll see you'll have the same correction, down, up, down. I'm just looking at the surfaces. It's super obvious to see. Turning the knob all the way up.
It's like a butterfly.
That is hilarious. Off, on. That is hilarious. Okay. I had some terrible jokes I was going to say, but I chose
I know.
okay, so on. That's hilarious. Master gain down. All the way to 0. Nothing. 50%. Definitely work. Definitely work. Definitely work. Definitely work. Okay. Full landing flaps. Same thing. Gain all the way up. Roll down. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, so that's obviously a little bit aggressive. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click, I'm gonna scroll back in to forward programming. Once it loads, gyro settings, AS3X settings, turn that down to, whoa, you can do 0.5. Okay, so we'll just do to 1x. Now, why do we do 4x? That's the test in lieu of the gyro response test. Either one will work. I like to test in real world. This is all the way up and it's off. Throttle has already been initiated, so it's working in the off condition. Now it's on. We have the gain all the way up. It's working, it's working, it's working, it's working. Flaps are off. We've tested all the functions. Roll up, roll down, roll up, roll down. I'm looking at this, up, down, up, down. What happens is when you move the surface, when you move the wing, you want the surface to try to resist the impact that didn't come from this. Now, if my wife were holding this controller and she said all the way like that, the resistance is gonna be different. Look, resist, there's nothing to resist. We're all the way out. There's nothing to resist. I've given input, okay? Make sense? So that's the human interaction overriding the computer control that works when you're not telling it what to do. So notwithstanding human impact, artificial 3-axis stabilization will act in your best interest, AKA keep it going the direction it was. Keep it going the direction it was, okay? Now that is not, there is a difference between stabilization and some sort of like a lock, okay? That's not what we're dealing with. But the idea is it's gonna resist environmental impact. That doesn't mean that there's not gonna be like a slowing effect or maybe a roll that's induced, but it's not gonna increase. It's not gonna go faster, okay? So it's easier to see when the plane's flying, the way it manifests itself. So now I'm gonna put this to about 50%. This is all the way down. This is about 50%, that's all the way up. You see how it doesn't make it all the way around, okay? So that's 50%, you can hear the beep. Okay, so when I'm in the middle, that gives me my starting point, okay? Remember, we're all about getting you in the air successfully, but anybody can get you in the air successfully. We want you to be able to land too. Out of chair, into the air, and landed. But we don't say that part, okay? So there's the offsetting, nothing's working, good. And then there's safe, that's the only thing we haven't tested, okay? So safe is gonna behave a lot like AS3X, but it's gonna add in the limited bank angles and pitch angles. So you're gonna be limited on how high up you can pull, how high down you can pull, how much you could roll, and I can show you how to test that. But for now, I wanna just see if it's gonna auto level. Pretty obvious it's gonna auto level, because it's trying to find the quickest route to level. As I pitch the plane, it's trying to induce a roll to neutral. Now look at the elevator. It is trying to pull out of a dive to where? There, okay? What if you're climbing? It's trying to pull out of a climb to there, right? So the intensity of that action will be immediately translated based on the amount of throw that's being called out, okay? So sometimes safe is really effective on 3D planes, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's a little crazy. Okay, so obviously when safe is off, it's gonna stop trying to lift this off of the tail. So if you give throttle right now, it's gonna lift up and just taxi. Okay, so I'm gonna turn that off. Sticks down, safe. Now you can also test how much your bank angle is going to manifest itself. With full up elevator, where's it gonna stop you? About there, okay? Full down elevator, where's it gonna stop you? About there, okay? Holding the stick, you can see. Now roll, let's say you're rolling to the left. Where's it gonna stop you? About there, okay? Now rolling the other way, that's about where it's gonna stop you, okay? Because the surfaces will go neutral and it's gonna say, no, we've agreed that you wouldn't go more than that percentage. That is envelope. Self-level / envelope. That's the envelope portion.
Angle demand.
Angle demand. Angle demand.
Yes.
Self-level, angle
Angle
demand. Angle demand is exactly the same as envelope.
It's just only that.
But they use
and
different
not the-
nomenclature in one mode versus the other. So I'm like, okay, so one is self-level and angle demand, but then the other one is called envelope. Envelope would only do the limited bank
The
angles.
angle demand.
So you can create the 3 modes, like full safe, then intermediate, which is stupid, and then just stabilization. Intermediate to me is just a joke.
Did you use intermediate at all, even when you
never.
were learning to fly?
Never. It was a joke. When I learned to fly, I wanted full safe, and then I want to go straight to asterisk. Now, I might be like the freak of nature, but I don't think I am. I think I'm
Well.
pretty standard, freakishly. Okay? So what I mean by that is, when I fly, I want something to autonomously help me resist wind, thermals, other things that are happening that are not fly in a straight line. Now, that doesn't mean you can't stall the plane. It doesn't mean it's gonna land for you. It doesn't mean it's gonna return to home. It sure as heck doesn't mean it's not gonna fly away from you. But I will tell you this, throttle cuts on, safe's on. You could set it with a bunch of trim and it'll go in a circle if you want. You can also set a fail-safe where there's kicking in a little bit of roll and then it will go into a circle. The problem is, you go in a circle and the wind is right, it will still fly forever away from you.
Well, and it doesn't account for a tree or a,
Building.
yeah.
So at this point, if you're lost, if you're confused when you're flying, this is probably was not the best pick for you as a beginner plane. I'm assuming it's gonna be pretty advanced flying characteristics. However, it does seem like it's gonna be a robust and sturdy plane that's gonna be fun to fly. I'm excited to fly it. I mean, I can't believe how much power it's got for that little motor and little prop. It seems like how big of a punch can it have?
Yeah.
It has a lot of punch. So how do I know? Because I am curious about this. Let's see how it does. Okay, so throttle cuts off. Oh yeah, look at this, guys.
Jeez.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's gonna be insane. That's like 50% right there, look at that. Okay, throttle cut's not on, now it's on. Throttle cut's on and tested. Okay, so there you have it. So what have we done in this video? We have set up, well, first of all, we built it. I complained a bunch about how I had to build things.
You ignore the instructions.
I ignored the
mostly.
instructions somewhat. I mean, then we look back at the instructions. So we taught you how to do that if you didn't already know how to do it on your own. We talked about the batteries. We talked about a high voltage. Oh, this high voltage pack's gonna be even more.
I know.
Energy density is gonna be way more dense because the smaller battery is probably gonna give you a lot more punch. I feel like there's a lot of punch already. I don't know how much more punch you need. Geez, Mike Tyson style. So throttle cuts on. We showed you how to set that up. We showed you how to set up flaps. We showed you how to set up the delay. We showed you how to set up the ailerons as flaperons, which we have set up. We showed you how to test the movement, how to test the movement, how to test the movement, how to reduce this to 69. Found out that didn't work. So we had to put it to 65%, which is pretty good, but that's because we had to mechanically adjust the linkages so that we're neutral on flight surfaces when we start. We've also set up some dual rates in Expo to get you started. I have a sneaky suspicion on this plane we're gonna have to kick those up a little bit for more sport flying, which is aka not crazy 3D. But I think most of you are gonna fly this thing crazy 3D, or you'd be flying a regular Tundra, which by the way, the Tundra is awesome in all respects. It does, crazy 3D, and it does great sport flying. So if you're looking for a great sport flying plane, I mean, the Tundra you could get the Tundra. The Grand Tundra 2, we did not too long ago. It's green, it's beautiful, amazing plane. I think you get a couple of color schemes too. But really good plane. That being said, this is all new from Durafly, and I was thinking this was gonna be a terrible build.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be
not that bad.
pretty easy. And same is true just back there. The C-130 I thought was gonna be a terrible build. And other than dropping a bolt
into the middle of the plane.
into the middle of the plane and getting stuck by a piece of tape, it actually was a really easy build. We didn't even set up differential thrust on that. If we would have, it would have been even more incredible. But I will tell you this, you can take what we've done in this video and you can build on it. You can add more features. You could set up spoiler rounds. I don't really think you're gonna need them. You could set up crow. I don't really think you're gonna need, well, this is basically crow because you would have to have a flap and a servo to drive up and down. So you're not gonna set up crow on this. But I will tell you this, the functions of this plane are basic, but they will flesh themselves out to be a really incredible flight experience. I think it's gonna be super fun. So if you guys want to support Brian Phillips RC, best way to do is watch videos, smash a like button, come back for more, obviously. Those are the things you do. When you do subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Obviously, there's an algorithm at play here on YouTube, and we want to get as large of an audience to come in here. But really, the audience that we touch on a routine basis, that's right, is the audience of people who really do things, okay? If you're watching Brian Phillips RC, it's not because you're just a casual RC viewer that sees some AI edited crap on Facebook. You're actually doing it, okay? So you might need help occasionally figuring out how the heck to actually do these things. You're in good company. We'll help you get there. There has never been a build that we have done on this channel where we failed to finish the project. That's not to say there haven't been a few that have sucked really giant donkey balls. There have been a lot of those over the years. But we've done like thousands of products. Not thousands, probably hundreds. Hundreds, it would be hundreds. We'll be eventually to thousands, but right now we have thousands of videos.
Yeah.
But hundreds of aircraft. And I have experience with a lot of aircraft. That is an unusuality within this community, okay? Most of us have experience in this area. The stuff we bought, the stuff our friends have, the stuff their friends have that we've had a chance to fly. And then there's what I've flown. Okay, I'm not better than you on piloting. I just happen to have flown them, okay? And so I don't want you to take away anything that I'm not saying. What I am saying is I have experience flying them. So I do have the apples to oranges kind of experience that you might not, okay? So if you're buying 4 or 5 or 600 planes, you would be in a very small echelon of people. And you're fortunate to partner with a lot of these companies to have the opportunity to fly these things, okay? I love it. It's amazing. But it's also tedious because the stuff I love is not the stuff that we end up with. I end up with all of it. So it sharpens and hones my expectations for each of these models and the price points that they're derived within. I never know what they cost when we're doing them.
Well, and you love flying. You don't really love building.
I don't love building, but I have an appreciation for it.
Right.
I know that it's hard. I have done it. I have built stick-built planes. I also know how tedious and painful it is to crash them. I did work with my grandpa, he's now passed now, but we used to build planes together, and we would go to Hobby King and we'd find all the equipment, and we would tediously pick out motors and ESCs and every servo, and we would go from a kit to a flying radio control plane. It was super fun. If I had more skill at the time, it would have been more fun. But at the same time, it would have been a gigantic miss in my life if I wouldn't have done that with my grandpa before he died, okay? So if you're missing the opportunity now, don't do that. Do it today, okay? So really fun experience from Durafly, brand new from Durafly, the Tundra PX, which also might be called the TPX. So I don't really know exactly. It's like Tundra like TPX sounds like toilet paper extreme or something. I don't know. It's like, again, I'm not really sure where they were going with that. We thought maybe it meant like Pico, like it was going to be small. But then we open it, it's like, it's big.
Right.
It is smaller than the Grand Tundra. But like the Tundra, this is about the same size as the Tundra. We've never done a Tundra. We've only done the Grand Tundra.
Yes.
Okay. So that being said, lot to take away from this video. We hope we got you all the way through opening it to where it's ready to fly. By the way, my timer, it might be a little bit premature. So one thing we are going to run on this plane, this is one thing we have to do that we haven't done for a while.
Yeah.
Because frankly, we haven't needed to do this for a while. We'll use one of these voltage alarms. This is from Predator. This is an FMS product. You can get them at Hobby King. We have links to like a bunch of different brand varieties and Buddy RC and Amazon or whatever, but it's on our bprc.me/supplies or brianphillipsrc.com/supplies. You can see China glue there. You can see CA there. And yes, some of them are going to link back to Hobby King. Some of them are going to link back to Amazon, just wherever you like to buy stuff. We don't care. But the point is, we're going to give you options. These things are, I'm going to say a dime a dozen because you can pay somewhere between $5 and $10 for one, or you can spend $5 to $30 for like 5 of them or whatever. Just get however many you think you need. They're pretty easy to use. There's a little push button on these. Usually you press those, you set your voltage alarm point, and then this is polarized, so it's plus and minus. So you're going to line up your most negative pin over here, and this is going to help you to determine when your battery's dead. And I usually like to, okay, so the negative is here. So the negative is black, okay? So this is the balance lead. And you'll just plug this in to the most negative point. I'm gonna cover up the thing because it's loud. Okay, so it's really loud. And then it says 4 cells. It says the nominal voltage, all of them, 16.1, so cell 1, so on and so forth, so forth. Okay, so 2, cell 3, and then cell 4, and then it's gonna go back to all, okay? And then you can click this and you can set where you want the alarm to alarm. So on a prop driven plane, you know, I wouldn't be afraid of putting 3.3, but just so you know, what happens is one of the 4 will tend to sag first and then it's gonna alarm, okay? So it's not concerned about the nominal voltage being spent. It's gonna look at whichever one of these sags first, that sets your alarm, okay? It tends to stay alarming until you come out of the throttle, and then it either absolves itself of the air. So like there's a recovery period on lipos, just like there's on NiCad or lead acid or whatever. When you unload a circuit, it's gonna recover until it's dead. Then it's not gonna recover enough to unwarrant the beeping. Then it'll keep beeping. Does that make sense? Did I say that in the most confusing possible way?
Yes, that's good.
I did. But the point is, it's going to start alarming when it hits a certain voltage set by this. That's really low. That'd be like, Brian, stop, okay? But this is usually like on a prop driven plane, you're fine here. And then like on an EDF, I like to start a little bit higher on the warnings, plus harder to hear them because the scream of the EDF will typically sort of make it hard to hear these, okay? So in this case, I'll set it to 3.3. And because of the nature of the way all this stuff fleshes out, we might need to be a little bit creative how we trap that in there so it doesn't pop off, okay? So I don't know if it's easier to just like run this underneath this lead, but just keep it in mind, the stuff that wants to pop off is gonna pop off. So you need to be kind of careful, and you also don't wanna hit that button. See, I might be hitting that button.
Yeah.
So not sure how I'm gonna secure it, but I do think it would be a good idea to have this integrated to at least our first flight performance.
Yeah, I think so too.
So if you guys see that strapped on there, you'll understand. I may end up finding just a Velcro strap to go around to hold this battery on. And I think this is the one that comes with it, okay? So if you go to this battery, you're gonna have a little bit smaller package, a little bit longer, a little bit more slender. Doesn't make it right or wrong, it's just a different package offering. This is going to be more power, more voltage that you will use up quicker, okay? This is 750 milliamp hours. This is 850, so you're talking about roughly what, 10, 12% more power in this, but this is gonna have more voltage, okay? So you're gonna tend to blow through it faster, in my opinion, okay? When you run higher voltage on an electric motor like this, it spins faster, produces more torque, and it's more punchy on power to get you out of the hole. So if you're doing a lot of 3D flying, this might be where you need to start, okay? So just a suggestion, but you can buy it with the battery included, or I believe they'll offer it without. Either way, just check the links in the video description below. So we've done all the things you need to do to make this plane fly. On Brian Phillips RC, we don't leave you wanting for anything, we hope. Okay, because these are long videos. We understand it's a time investment for you, but we do firmly believe that we are literally training you out of the need for Brian Phillips RC. At least the Unbox build radio setup part. You may come back as a more experienced pilot and say, the Unbox build radio setup, I don't need that anymore. I'm gonna just watch the maiden flight, see what your thoughts were, and then develop an opinion that I can start from. Or maybe you watch the other guys and you come to us, you make your decision, then you buy from the links and you help support us. We appreciate it if you do it that way. Not to screw the other guys, but just the point is, if we've helped drive your decision-making process in any way, whether that's driven you away from this into something better, which you might do by heading to brianphillipsrc.com or bprc.me if you like the short link, that take you to the same spot. You can sort by type, whether it's by brand, like in this case, it's Durafly or Hobby King, or you can look at style. So this would be like a sport 3D profile plane. So do we have
There's a sport, it'll be in the sport category as well,
okay.
yes.
Because this would not be like a scale plane, okay?
Right.
And we try to put things into categories so that you can find what you want quick. And then all you do is you see a picture of me holding the plane, it's gonna take you to the playlist on YouTube. And when you follow that, then you can learn everything we've learned about it. A lot of times it's just one maiden flight and then an Unbox build radio setup, and those are the two to choose from. Sometimes there's a second thought, sometimes there's a revisit, sometimes there's a crash footage, whatever. Sometimes there's a modification we did. We've done some helicopters recently that we unlocked the full potential. That would be added into the playlist for those helicopters, okay? Doesn't mean you would have to watch that to enjoy the helicopter, or maybe just watch the maiden flight, see what it comes out of the box, how it's gonna work, whether it's worth buying. We wanna help make your RC experience better by enabling you to understand the terminology, by unpacking the details of how to get this in the air and have success on the first flight, so that you can have a second flight, so you can have a third flight, so you can refine your dual rates in Expo. Because if you crash immediately, you're not gonna make your dual rates in Expo work. You're just gonna fail.
Right.
So remember, there's a big part of this hobby is getting through the learning curve, and it is steep. And a big part of this hobby is having somebody that's got the time and wherewithal to bring you up to speed from the days of the crystals and the days of the pull-up antennas and the flag on there that says 78 megahertz. And, you know, the days of glow plugs and starters and, you know, little spinner things to start your motor and wearing gloves so you can flip the prop. Well, now we're into mostly electric stuff anymore, but there's still gassers out there and people still use them, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't need to poo-poo any of it at all. But I will tell you this, if you're just coming back to the hobby, it is a lot easier to do electric. And if you think that's lame, just do a few. Understand how good it is. And then when you get ready to do a gasser, you can still do the gas stuff. You can still do the nitro stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. And we'll help get you through the ranks of this, because this is really where the retail interest is right now, okay? So we want to help you guys find that and help you answer the questions without necessarily having to have 1,000 airplanes to get there, okay? All right, hopefully we answered all your questions on this plane. Thanks to Hobby King and Durafly for working with us on these products. We are excited to be able to bring you these early releases. It's very gratifying to see just how far they've come. Because in 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when we were starting this channel, I was doing a lot of Hobby King stuff because at the time, it was just my dollars and my cents driving it, okay? But now we have a huge network of people that are in the professional side of things that work with us to try to sell their crap to you, okay? But I still tell you the truth anyway. So sorry for them. At the end of the day, our allegiance is to our audience and to this hobby that we love, okay? Not necessarily to Hobby King or Durafly or E-Flight or Spectrum or whatever. I mean, we still try to call them out when things are not the way we like. There are no LEDs on this, by the way, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter. It's a 3D profile plane. I'm not gonna fly this in the middle of the night. But there are people that will, okay? And if you want LEDs, obviously there's no LEDs. We used to gripe about that a lot, but But it just got to the point where I found myself flying a whole lot more in the daylight than I did in twilight. But I'll tell you what, we're getting ready to go into spring right now. When I'm going into fall and it starts getting dark early, man, I am pissed when there's not lights on planes because you can't fly them, okay? But that's not to say you couldn't add lights to a plane like this and do it really quick and do it easy.
Yeah.
So if you're in that mindset and you like the information we're bringing, smash the like button right now, click the bell for notifications, subscribe to Brian Phillips RC. And if you want to support us on a routine basis, you can also become a member, which is always appreciated, or throw us a super thanks if you just said, hey, you know what, that plane is not for me, but I'm glad you talked me out of it. Here's $5 or whatever, I don't care. Whatever works for you guys is cool with us. It all literally gets evaporated in the furnace that is my budget for the aerodrome on Brian Phillips RC.
Yes.
It is gone. It is gone for 30 years if we kept this up. It's gonna be gone for 50 or 60 years, probably more likely. So just so you guys know, I'm balls deep. If you're not, I understand. You don't have to do that, but we are. Trust me. If I ever met you in person, I would tell you more than you probably want to know. But I'm not going to put that out there for the public sector to devour. The truth is, I love this hobby. It's not for show. It's real. And we're really here to help bring up the next generation and the people that are returning and the people that are brand new into this hobby so you can get the most out of it. Well, also Patreon for monthly support. If you want to do monthly support, but you don't like Google because they're big, bad, evil, whatever, fine. Then you can do it through Patreon, which is essentially started by all the people at Google anyway, as far as I understand. And they also take a pretty hefty share, but not quite as hefty as the 30% that they keep when you do it through Google.
Yeah.
They keep 30. I think they can be like 18% on Patreon. So it's a little bit more direct. But if you just can't tolerate that money getting thrown into the garbage can so that before it goes to us, to the dumpster fire
Before you throw in the garbage can?
Yes. It's our dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Then you can go through
PayPal, friends and family.
And then, friends and family. And then,
Then we can throw at least all of your money in the
all
garbage
of the money
can.
goes straight into the dumpster
Yes.
fire. So that's all right. But I mean, it's a cool dumpster fire, and there's big buildings and runways and things like this. But I just want to tell you guys a little ditty. Not that they haven't been squished into this video already, but when we go to Joe Knoll, I see this place, right? This aerodrome. And of course, that's 400 some odd acres?
430 or something
It's
like that.
huge.
Yeah,
they have a
it's
10,000 foot strip. Well, it's actually, I think it's 7,000, 3,000 overflow. So it's like more than a mile long. It's like 2 miles long. Okay, our property is 24 acres in total. It's a little bit under actually. And there's 3 properties contained in that, okay? And it is taken all that we have and more times like 2 or 3 to get where we are right now. And I say times 2 or 3 because believe me, the bank owns it all, okay? We just own a small percentage of it. So when you see what we're doing right now, don't think, oh yeah, nice silver spoon you got there, Brian.
Yeah,
no. Trust me, it's owned by somebody else.
Plastic fork in our eye.
So if you want to help us to service the debt, you'll be helping. And anybody who has money understands what I'm talking about, you'll get it. Anybody who doesn't or had it at one point, started into this hobby or flying real airplanes, you'll even more get it. But you will be helping to perpetuate the system for us, which is perpetuating the system for you. I love RC. I want to see it live past my age, past my life. I want my kids to be able to enjoy this. I want your kids' kids to be able to enjoy it. And there's only one way to do that, and that is get your friends flying, get your kids flying, get your grandkids flying, and start doing it. Get off the seat, out of the chair, and into the air. We'll help you on Brian Phillips RC. Tell them the full truth, nothing but the truth. So help us God. And that includes when things are not great. Okay? I think this one's going to be pretty awesome. So stay tuned. So much more right around the corner. Thanks for watching, guys. Here on Brian Phillips RC, there's so much more right around the corner. Come back for more.